even at the VA for the last like 4 hours. You know? that was really smooth, actually.
On Thursday.
Welcome to the special board meeting for Comstock Charter Township, August 19th, 2026. This meeting is now called to order. May we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Looking for approval of the agenda, but before we approve the agenda, I would like to remove the second reading of the PUD ordinance, and then being that under supervisor, there's planning commission appointments, we would just remove that under treasurer. So looking for a motion for those changes and then approval as presented.
Are you removing the appointment for the
planning
moving it?
Under treasurer, we'll just, we have it under supervisor, so we'll just lump that all together. So under treasurer, I'll request that we move the planning commission actions and updates, and that we remove the second reading for ordinance number 571. That ordinance was posted in the paper to be read on Monday, so we just need to redo that and do it proper. So those two, and be looking for a motion to approve as presented.
I make a motion that we approve the agenda as amended.
Support. Motion made by Treasurer Bloomfield, supported by Trustee Amos. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The agenda is approved. Moving along to public comments on agenda items only. A citizen may state their name and address and may speak only one time for no more than 3 minutes. This time may not be given to another citizen to extend their time. The person speaking has the floor, and no other citizen shall speak during someone else's time. During this time, you'll be making statements to the board without discussion from board members, but you're welcome to make an appointment with a supervisor to discuss your comments further. Contact information is located by the door. Please keep comments clean and respectful.
Good evening. My name is Robin Burpee, and I'm a former resident of Comstock Township. Earlier this year, I stood before a neighboring charter township to fight a rush to data center ordinance contrasting their technical legality with the ethics of governance. A presentation I was witness to by Attorney Robert Thal right here on January 14th, 2026. The message of that meeting has resonated far beyond Comstock. I have delivered its lessons to local boards all over Southwest Michigan. Watching this community stand up taught me the true power of civic engagement. Comstock residents should be incredibly proud to have fought so hard to bring this township to a fresh start. Tonight, as you convene to appoint replacements following the mass resignation of 4 recalled trustees on the turn of a dime, Attorney Thal's warnings are hauntingly relevant. He highlighted that fiduciary duty requires public officials to act in the interest of the public's trust, not their own convenience. He called the Open Meetings Act and FOIA Michigan's sunshine laws. He called the open laws and warned that failure to act ethically leads directly to recalls and legal consequences, consequences that have not ended with their resignations. We just watched that exact prediction play out. 4 board members prioritized a rushed firehouse agenda over transparency, met the bare minimums of the law, and abandoned their seats the second the public demanded accountability. By choosing the fastest path, they prioritized speed over sunshine. Deciding the public's right to challenge decisions didn't matter. Shortcutting the process undermines trust and risks costly legal challenges. I assure you, the law is not done with the resignees. To the remaining board and new appointees, the era of doing what is merely technically legal has technically ended. I commend you for your grit and moxie. Moving forward, every appointment, ordinance, and expenditure must be handled openly and with deep respect for the community's right to know and be interacted with honestly. Follow the spirit of that January presentation. Thank you, Attorney Thal. Appoint leaders who value transparency over speed, ethics, or convenience, and the public trust above all else. Let's do it the right way according to the statutes that govern us. Godspeed as you move this board back into the sunshine your constituents have so tirelessly fought for and earned. You have my resume. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening, Autumn Smith. You've been handed something very rare in government, a clean slate. 4 members of the previous Comstock Township Board resigned within 3 days following a series of controversial 4-3 decisions, including the termination of superintendent and reported payout of more than $412,000 in taxpayer money of Superintendent Hess. Let me be very clear. I'm not standing here directly accusing anyone of committing a crime. But what I am saying is that timing is not something taxpayers should simply shrug off. When multiple officials leave at essentially the same time after participating in a major financial and personnel decision, it creates serious questions about what was happening behind closed doors. And frankly, when government begins to look like a small group of people making decisions together, protecting those decisions, and then walking away together, it starts to look less like accountable government and more like a political machine or even mafia or organized crime syndicate. I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm just saying the appearance is bad enough that it demands independent scrutiny. And that solution isn't speculation. Follow the money. Michigan law requires independent auditing of township accounts, and the law allows the board and requires audits beyond the minimum when circumstances warrant it. So I'm asking this newly constituted board to use this opportunity to solicit competitive bids for a full forensic financial audit of Comstock Township. Not just the routine annual audit, a real forensic examination of the superintendent's termination, contract and payout, contracts and vendor payments, legal fees, payroll compensation, purchasing and bidding, reimbursement for credit cards, transfers between funds, conflicts of interest, and whether taxpayer money was properly authorized, spent, and dispersed. And then make the findings public. Because if everything was done properly, an independent forensic audit would prove it. And if it wasn't, the taxpayers deserve to know that too. This isn't about revenge. It's not about politics. It's about restoring public trust. You have a clean slate sitting in front of you. Don't simply put new names on the same system. Use this moment to open the books, follow the money, and let an independent forensic accountant tell the taxpayers exactly where Comstock Township stands. Because after what has happened, trust us isn't enough anymore. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sorry to cut through. Andre Bellows, 7682 26th Street. So I'm very happy to see what's just happened. I don't see it as a bad thing at all. and not too many people can have a clean house. But you can't have a clean house and leave a pig or something bad in it. So one of your first agendas is to appoint a new attorney. You can't leave a snake who has the knowledge.
Please be respectful.
I'm sorry. So you can't leave somebody who has the attorney-client privileges to defend so they cannot testify. You need somebody independent. You cannot trust the ones who actually was with them all the way. This is very important, and it should be done immediately, today. Thank you.
Hi, Tammy Keeler. Y'all look pretty happy without them four here. You really do. Now maybe Comstock gives them transparency. Know where money goes, not in their pockets. Closed meetings all the time. At least you guys are going to be in the open. And I believe that's going to go through whoever you elect on this board. It's going to be open. This is all Comstock wanted. I'm seeing transparency from you guys. Mr. Korb, he has the experience. And people are telling him to get on the board. We believe in Mr. Korb. Mr. Korb has been here to meetings, which he did not have to be. He ran for 42nd District against Hall. And he does have the experience. And he is a trustworthy man. As far as the stuff going against the attorney, I believe it. There's a lot of exchange in hands. I don't know if he's still representing him on the township lawsuits or not, but he shouldn't be if they're not on the township board anymore. We were so happy to see them all walk away. But, you know, I'm not so tense now when I get up here because we're trusting you to give us that transparency. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jill Erdotti, and I live on North 26th Street. I would like to address something else that's on the agenda today. You guys have your hands full getting trustees in here and all of that, but I want to bring a very important, when Nicole Beauchamp resigned, a wealth of information went out the door with her. Same with Nicole Shook. So on the agenda, it says an appointment of a clerk. I'm asking you to maybe think of some alternative measures than just bringing somebody in as the new clerk, because they have an election, and I have worked the 9-day elections. I was chair. I have worked the absentee elections. It's not just putting signs out front and saying, come and vote. There's absentee ballots to get out the door. In fact, right now, we are behind the Kalamazoo County Clerk's Office for sending out letters asking people if they're going to be inspectors. They got a hold of me. What do? Do I go with them because I have a lot of experience? Or do I stay here and give you my knowledge of 10 plus over years? I'm confused, because if you just put anybody in that position, they're not going to be able to do clerk duties, work with Lansing, and get everything that we need to have a successful election. So I have two suggestions. You have somebody in this room, Era, who I trained with under Nicole, that knows every piece of the election process right now. And there's a lot. You also have someone, Era, help me, I keep forgetting his name. Keegan. I'm sorry, but I had to ask a question. Keegan, who is in the county. I worked with him. That's the first person I worked with. And he has all that information. Bring somebody in separate to handle these elections, or they're going to be a mess. You're going to have an audit you're not going to want. So please think about separating the two positions just for this election, please.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Dina O'Connor. I always come prepared, but I didn't know there was a meeting until my lunch break today. I just want to let you know that I'm your biggest prayer warrior. I always have been, and I will continue to do that. We certainly, the recall process wasn't for nothing. We certainly wanted all 4 of them gone, but not in this fashion, to put the township in such a precarious position. So I know that that brings on a lot of stress, and I'm just thankful for your openness and your transparency about every step of this. Just a reminder, because I know this is on record in multiple fashion, I am still the plaintiff in a circuit court case against the township, and those 4 may have walked out the door, but they cannot hide, and they may have actually given me a leg up. But I'm going to do everything I can in court to see what I can do about getting that $440,000 back. That's the people's money. Thank you very much. That's it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, here I come. No complaints. I just want to say, everybody that was online that is bashing Ben, the way he did this, he went by the book, he went by the letter, and I'm telling you right now, as far as I'm concerned, I'm just put this out there. Good old boys, you're not coming back. You are not coming back unless I take my last dying breath. But all of you that are sitting there criticizing him openly, and you said I can't talk to him, so therefore, shut up. I don't want to hear anymore. He did it legally. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Well, this will be a step away from the last discussions. My name is Brian Young, 8116 Waterwood Drive. My comments actually are concerning something that just popped up the agenda for the first time later on in the agenda. Maybe it does come to transparency from a little distance, maybe, or lack thereof. But my comments are concerning the City of Kalamazoo's plan for Deer Management Area 25, covering what is known as McClendon Nature Trails. Brand new to me, brand new to a lot of people I've spoken to. They've never heard of it. And the details, it's a big, long document that is in the packet. And you read through the whole thing, and it creates concerns. And the details and rationale for the deer culling plan is based on reducing the number of deer in the Kalamazoo city limits. That was the basis for their, anyway. And is based on feedback from neighborhoods and neighborhood associations within the city of Kalamazoo. Why was this plan implemented in Comstock Township? It's more than 2 miles from the Kalamazoo city limits without input from the residents of Kalamazoo Township. They show in there examples of different developments, but they're all in Kalamazoo, many on the west side of Kalamazoo. And as my understanding that even the Kalamazoo Parks Commission was not informed that McClendon Nature Trails were going to be made a deer management area by the city of Kalamazoo. McClendon Nature Trails was named in 1984 after a resident of Comstock. It is owned by the city of Kalamazoo and maintained by the Comstock Township under a cooperative agreement. This is a destination attraction for many visitors coming to Kalamazoo and a mainstay for many residents to visit the McClendon Nature Trails. The hunting area will include all of the trails and butts up to Lake Forest Estates. It will be open to those that are able to get a City of Kalamazoo archery permit, which includes crossbows, and crossbows can shoot 500 yards, which is a quarter mile or more. Blinds can be set up and left there from September through March, and trees on the ground. If you want to take your kids or grandkids for a trail walk and watch a hunter gut deer alongside the trail, that might be possible. Field dressing is allowed. Now, this may allow some hunter access, but I think the general public will be the larger impacted. They'll be discouraged, and it will likely severely damage the highly publicized rating this trail has as a nature trails destination for Kalamazoo County.
Thank you,
I
sir.
will certainly think twice taking a fall or winter visit to McClendon if this goes forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, here, so actually, sorry. So, I'll give this to you real quick. I only got one, so I'm sorry. I was gonna give a copy to everybody. I'm not that organized. My name is John Paver. As many of you know, I've been coming to the meetings for quite some time now. That I just handed in was my letter of interest, along with my resume to show that I am interested in interviewing for one of the possible open seats. Just a little background on me. I've owned and run my own company here in Kalamazoo County for about 12 years. Much of that was an online business where I dealt with international law, taxes, importing things. And then in 2018, I started a pet food supply business out in Portage Road. One of the very first things that we did there was we started donating and feeding all of the Portage canine for free. That's one of the things that I'm most proud about, that when I did end up selling it, again, in 23, one of the agreements that we had was that we continued to support public safety through feeding the canine. And I'm proud to say that that is still being continued now. Even the fire department has a canine, and that store that's now Hounds & Co. out in Portage Road is still taking care of them, is still donating to them. And so that's one of the things that I'm most proud about. That store we set up, it was an empty lot, and one of the things that we noticed in that area was that there was a real need for people walking around. And so instead of just having an empty lot, we instead created and fenced in a free dog park for everybody. So all you had to do was come in, sign a waiver, and you'd come walk your dog for a little bit, and then come in and shop, do grooming and things like that. So I said that a lot faster than what my long list thing said. I should have just followed the script. So I got a minute. One of the things that I also have been on the side of is that, as some of you know, I filed a lot of FOIA requests, and so I know what it's like to be on the outside asking for paperwork. Residents should not need a FOIA to know what their board is doing. And so I think that part of the things that I would do is end up keeping public business in the public, because I think that's the most important thing. I think that a lot of times, as humans, we get carried away with our own immediate surroundings, and we forget the big picture that at the end of the day, we are here to serve. And as many of you know, and many in the audience know, it's not always rainbows and sunshine, and that you have to have a lot of tough skin to be there. And so, 10 seconds, dang. Well, anyways, this is probably the nicest 3 minutes that you all are gonna get, so thank you. God bless you.
Good evening, Karen Height. First, I want to say thank you to the Kalamazoo County Election Commission for making this meeting possible by appointing Mr. Korb to the board for this meeting so that our township can move forward. I think that's very important. There's so much going around on Facebook that it was all done incorrectly. I did post screenshots of exactly what the law states, and it was followed to the letter. I hope people can understand that. The one thing that I saw on the agenda that I wanted to ask about, and somebody else brought it up a little bit, was about this forensic audit. We just had an audit, so if it can be explained to us exactly what a forensic audit is and what they're looking for, I think it'll put more people's mind at ease. So I think that's real important. And as far as the elections go, I'm here to say that I will work the elections in November. So if you need me, I'm here. I think a lot of other people need to step up. I've done it once before. I did it in the last presidential election. I think it's really important to stand up and see what really happens. So don't just sit back and let everybody else do it and think it's going to be okay. Get involved. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Jonathan Wilgenhoff. I was with there at the meeting, and there was a lot of debate on how to do it, and it ended up going down to a coin flip, which I thought was pretty great. Mr. Korb's awesome. I support him. And I'd like to say anyone that needs help, elections or anything else, I'm military retired, and I'm here to help. So whatever you guys need, just let me know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
John Dickman, Township President. I know what you guys are thinking. Oh, God, here he comes again. First of all, there's a lot of veterans with us tonight, and I want to thank you all for your service. Though I can't say that enough, and I don't say that enough, and I apologize. I'm sorry. Secondly, and the main thing, comments on agenda items, the McClendon Nature Trail deer call. All right. I was flipping through the agenda packet today, and I was looking at one of the slides, and they have the entrance off of 26th Street designated as a parking area, and they're going to give out, I think it's 10, permits for that. Well, the amount of vehicles that can be parked right there ain't nowhere near 10. It's more like about 2, and that's on a good day. Here's my thing. That it opens on October 1st with the opening of the archery deer season. That's fine. But the thing about it is that property is being actively farmed. And along about that time is going to be time to cut those beans and cut that corn. I foresee 2 scenarios that I don't think anybody thought about. One is there's 10 cars parked there on October 1st, and here comes a combine with a 30-row bean head on it that can't get in there. Scenario B is some Billy has taken it upon himself to park his 4-wheel drive pickup truck out at the end of the tree line so he can get in there a little deeper and gone through the crops. Ben, you and I know that farmer, and you know that neither one of those scenarios is gonna fly. So if somebody could ding-a-ling somebody at the city and go, hey, we might want to think about this, and we need to do it like right now because this is in process, myself and speaking for the aforementioned farmer, we'd appreciate that. Thank you.
John Trolley, 9850 Miller Drive, Gillsburg, Michigan. I just want to talk about the McClendon Trail. I just started looking at it and everything. I'm sorry, but to hunt that property, kind of very eerie. Don't know if it's going to be gun, don't know if it's going to be archery. Still, bow and arrow, some kid walking through. Bow and arrow can go 400, 500 feet per second. Crossbows are amazing of what the technology they have come through. I crossbowed when we had land up on ML Avenue and everything like that, and you know, I've hunted deer and everything like that. I just don't think that is the best area, especially like where the trails are and everything like that. That is very, it's open, but at the same time, it's like you could have a family of kids and the deer is across there, something bad could happen. You know, I used to mow that property also when I worked for Earthworks back in long time ago and everything, over 10 years ago. There was a lot of deer up there, I will say that. Going and everything like that, mowing the trails, and you'll come out and see a herd of like 50 deer. Granted, that was 10 years ago, so it's probably doubled now. I don't know if we have any say if this is possible or not possible. I don't know how this all goes and everything, because it is City of Kalamazoo, but it is in the township. Don't know how this is gonna go. I just truly don't think it should be open for deer season. That's in my opinion. Because it's very iffy and everything like that. Granted, it was like a 50-page document. I just spent the last like 5-10 minutes looking through it really quick, so don't know a lot about it, but I don't think it should be deer hunted. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, my name is Emily Murphy, and I am a taxpaying resident of Comstock Township. The last couple weeks have been a big mess, to say the least. I felt it important to share some thoughts. First and foremost, shame on Nicole Beauchamp, Bob Pratt, Terry McIver, and Christy Cherry for abandoning the township and their duties. I hope they all do some real soul searching before committing themselves to serve anyone or anywhere else again. I wish them all luck on surviving the consequences of their own actions and decisions. I am thankful to have the Kalamazoo County Clerk's Office, as well as their support system, to help Comstock navigate through the state laws and statutes in order to do this process the lawful way. I am thankful to have the beautiful weather today. I am thankful school is starting soon. It has been obvious by all of the attention and emotion and chaos here that a lot of people really care about Comstock and want it to be a township to benefit all of us. It hadn't felt that way for a very long time. With that, I am sad to realize that more than half of the township board we used to have did not care about Comstock benefiting everyone. This ordeal has put a lot of anguish and distress on a lot of Comstock's businesses, relationships, safety measures, etc. It concerns me on how we will all move forward together in the future. One of the things I am most upset about is that we will never know why those 4 former board members chose to pay out the former superintendent, Scott Hess, over $412,000. The township taxpayers deserve a reason why that felt like an appropriate decision to make. It was not an appropriate decision to make. We will never know why those 4 made a lot of the bad decisions they made, and lucky for them, they don't have to answer anymore. People have been so willing to go after others in the pursuit of winning political parties, increasing power or control, getting more money, and a number of other really, really bad looks. It is really changing relationships for people here. This whole thing is very new to Comstock and Kalamazoo County, including all of the officials. It's upsetting that people can't just be curious first and learn and work with each other. Instead, they seem to be constantly trying to stomp each other out and take control first. I hope that the township goes through with the process to interview and look into the values and actions of the applicants. How the applicants treat each other is a big indicator of how they will treat the township and its residents as a local leader. As we try to rebuild the township to something that is true and noble and good for everyone, we can't let the same people plant their stakes and flags into the ground. Everything we do as a township moving forward needs to be intentional and good for all, and not just good for the royal you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we need to talk after, because I don't have the agenda, so I don't know what to talk about, so I want to know I can talk.
There's public comment before and after. Is there any further public comment on agenda items? If not, we'll be moving. Yes, ma'am. Come on up.
Hello, my name is Jamie Ford. I've been a Comstock resident here for 17 years, and I've heard of what's been going on in our community, and it makes me sad that we're not benefiting from what we pay in. So I just wanted to offer my services, even if it's just interim, to help fill the seat of trustees so you guys can get going. Personally, I have a business. I'm a professional massage therapist, and I've been practicing for 20 years, which is a big thing. Our bodies give out, the schedules get busy, we get burnout, but luckily I am going strong. Very grateful for that. And so I have my kids getting older, and things are going smooth in my life. So I have a little extra time, and it doesn't seem like it really requires a lot of extra time to help out. So I'm just here to put myself out there to help. I've been a part of the community in Schoolcraft most of my life, and I am almost, I wouldn't want to say forced to be a part of the community, but I love it so much that I have always been involved in whatever I can get into there. So being a resident of Comstock now, I want to offer that to my town that I call home now. That's all. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any further comment?
Any further comments? If not, we'll be moving along with business. We are going to go past announcements for departments, boards, and commissions, and I'd be looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda. We have the meeting minutes from July 13th, 2026, meeting minutes from July 20th, 2026, and very importantly, we have bills payable August 18th, 2026.
If there are no changes to the consent agenda, I move that we approve them.
Support. Motion made by Treasurer Bloomfield, supported by Trustee Amos. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Consent agenda is passed. Moving along through presentations through business, past fire and rescue, past zoning, and on to Treasurer Bloomfield.
All right, first underneath the treasurer's office tonight, we have the resignation of Nicole Beauchamp, past Township Clerk. So I'm looking for a motion to accept her resignation.
I make a motion to, I make a motion to accept the resignation of Nicole Beauchamp for Township Clerk.
Support. Motion made by Trustee Amos, supported by Supervisor Martin. Attorney Thal, should this be a roll call?
Roll call.
Roll call vote?
Oh, I guess I get to do that, don't I?
If you,
Supervisor Martin,
yes.
Trustee Amos,
Yes.
and Mr. Korb,
Yes.
and Treasurer Bloomfield, yes.
Motion passes. And moving along to the appointment of clerk for Charter Township of Comstock, I just would like to hand it over to Attorney Thal on the emphasis of the matter of importance for the public understanding.
Yeah, so one reason that the board had to meet tonight and take action on this issue of the clerk is because of the bond issue that the township has out for the fire station. So bonds have been sold. The board had previously approved a brand new fire station. Bonds have been sold. They have not been delivered yet. And part of that delivery is that a clerk has to sign off on the closing and delivery of the bond issue. Bond counsel, we spent quite a bit of time yesterday with bond counsel and discussion about what happens if we didn't have a clerk. They have to report that immediately to their underwriters who are selling the bonds, and it could be considered a material default, and they could back off of the bond issuing the bonds. The problem with that is that there's a contract that we have for the sale of bonds, and that we could be sued then for breach of contract for the sale of the bonds. In order to avoid those legal issues, the board had to meet this evening and had to appoint a clerk so that we do not have those issues with that bond sale.
And could you just speak to our bond rating, credit scores, ability for lending, and other implications that might entail?
Yeah, sure. If that didn't happen and they did withdraw the, if they withdrew the bond, if the underwriter withdrew the bond, we were informed that we would not be able to borrow money for many years, that nobody would lend us any money because of that issue. And that's certainly a big concern that the township of your size cannot borrow money moving forward into the future. So it was really imperative to get something done tonight to appoint a clerk.
Thank you, Attorney Thal and Treasurer Bloomfield. if you'd like to speak to, before we make the motion for the clerk, that you speak to, you know, that it's just not a somebody, and it's somebody that us as board members are confident in, and the opportunity of such a time such as now in order to find somebody that has the availability to be able to do this. So you've had an opportunity to have this under you, and I'd love for you to explain that, and I'd love for you to fire off a motion when you're ready.
All right. Thank you, Supervisor Martin. We are very blessed to be able to have the person step forward that offered to become our clerk. She will do a phenomenal job. She's a hard worker. I have worked with her on the Planning Commission. She's been a great leader, especially through the BES. We're lucky to have her. So with that, I would like to make a motion to appoint Amber Lawrence for the clerk for Comstock Township.
Support.
Motion made by Treasurer Bloomfield, supported by Trustee Amos. Roll call vote.
Trustee Jerry Amos, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, my first time doing this, guys.
Yeah.
Trustee Amos, yes. Okay, go ahead. Supervisor Martin.
Yes.
Mr. Korb.
Yes.
Treasurer Bloomfield, yes. Passes 4-0. I'll go forward.
Come on up, Amber.
Amber, if you could come
Deputy
up, I'd like
Rockwell.
to swear you in.
All right, so Comstock, in accordance with Michigan compiled laws, MCL 168.363 and 358, we are going to conduct the oath of office for Township Clerk. An oath by definition is a solemn spoken pledge and or an affirmation of a spoken pledge made on the signer's personal honor. Over the time that I've been here, an oath of office has been a little bit of a point of contention of who had it, who didn't, and I will just say that not only because of Michigan compiled laws, but it is just that, a solemn pledge that shall serve the community and do the right thing. So without further ado, if you would, raise your right hand. I do solemnly swear.
I do solemnly swear.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
And the Constitution of this state.
And the Constitution of this state.
And that I will faithfully perform the duties.
And that I will faithfully perform the duties.
Of the office of Township Clerk.
Of the office of Township Clerk.
In and for the Township of Comstock.
In and for the Township of Comstock.
County of Kalamazoo and State of Michigan.
County of Kalamazoo and State of Michigan.
According to the best of my ability.
According to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, young lady. We'll get filed with your office tonight.
Oh, God.
Temporary, but I appreciate it.
Pull up a chair, Clerk Lawrence. Treasurer Bloomfield, handing it off to you.
No more minute taken for me. It's all you.
Attorney Thal, do we have Mr. Korb continue, or what should we do?
With the appointment of Clerk Lawrence, his duties as temporary trustee cease. So at this point, I thank you for your service to the board.
Thank you.
Mr. Korb did indicate he is going to submit his resume and his letter of interest, so we'll be looking forward to giving him an interview and an opportunity. Handing it back off to you, Treasurer Bloomfield.
All right, next on the agenda, we have the resignation of Christy Cherry. I'm looking for a motion to accept the resignation.
I make a motion to accept the resignation of Christy Cherry, the Township Trustee.
Support.
Motion made by Trustee Amos, supported by Treasurer Bloomfield. Roll call vote.
Treasurer Bloomfield.
Yes.
Trustee Amos.
Yes.
Supervisor Martin.
Yes.
Clerk Lawrence. Yes. Motion carries.
Next up is the resignation of Bob Pratt. Looking for a motion.
I make a motion to accept the resignation of Bob Pratt, Township Trustee.
Support.
Motion made by Trustee Amos, supported by Treasurer Bloomfield. Roll call vote.
Trustee Amos.
Yes.
Treasurer Bloomfield.
Yes.
Supervisor Martin.
Yes.
Clerk Lawrence. Yes. Four in the affirmative. Motion carries.
Next is resignation of Terry McIver as Township Trustee. Motion to accept resignation.
I make the motion to accept the resignation of Terry McIver, the Township Trustee.
Support.
Motion made by Trustee Amos, supported by Clerk Lawrence. Roll call vote.
Supervisor Martin.
Yes.
Treasurer Bloomfield.
Yes.
Trustee Amos.
Yes.
Clerk Lawrence. Yes. Motion carries 4-0.
Treasurer Bloomfield.
Yes, next up we have Planning Commission, actions and updates.
And we have moved that one as well as
We
the.
did. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep, that's
Okay,
okay.
and we took away the second reading, so.
We did, but we will circle back on that for the residents at home.
Very good. So the next or last thing on the agenda for the treasurer's office is I am requesting permission from the board to get quotes for a forensic audit and an investigation. And the treasurer's office feels that this is very important based on the resignations, the timing of them, and also with the bond being out there, the battery storage. You, the residents, know the things that have been happening in this township, and also with the payout for the superintendent. So this will be an in-depth investigation, and I would like to start with a first phase of it. So I'm asking for permission from the township board to get quotes to move forward with that.
I make a motion, excuse me. I'm making a motion for the treasurer to seek quotes for our forensic audit.
Support.
Motion made by Trustee Amos, supported by Clerk Lawrence. Roll call vote.
Clerk Lawrence, yes. Treasurer Bloomfield.
Yes.
Supervisor Martin.
Yes.
Trustee Amos.
Yes.
4-0.
Moving along to Supervisor. For Supervisor, we have the water pumping stations, 25 and 39, land management planning. I heard the concerns of the residents. I believe the presenter also hears that. That's why they're here brought forward tonight to speak to the community. We thought if anything was going to go through, it would be good to have everybody have some dialogue. We have an opportunity to voice concerns. We have opportunity to talk and work with them and see if it's the right fit for our community. Ultimately, it is their land, so we'll have to see within the frame of how it works for the health, safety, and welfare for our community on if there's some synergy to figure out how we can do this, if at all, and do it the best way possible. So, Jean, if you'd like to come up and speak with us. And it looks like you were able to bring company as well. Very good. Thank you guys for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Supervisor Martin. Thank you to the Comstock Township Board for giving us this opportunity. My name is James Baker. I'm the Public Services Director and City Engineer for the City of Kalamazoo. And in the scope of my duties, I also am in charge of the water utility. Our water utility serves 11 jurisdictions. These are all retail jurisdictions. These jurisdictions are part of the Kalamazoo area public water supply. We meet on a monthly basis at the UPC, or Utility Policy Committee, so there is township representation throughout our management of the water system. I'm going to give just a brief overview of kind of what our goals and intents are with Station 25, that's the Fred McLinden Park area, and then also with Station 39, that's another station that's located off of Miller Drive towards Galesburg. And after that, I'll turn it over to Jean Talanda to talk into some of the more details of how our proposed work would occur and answer questions of the board at that time. So from a high level, we have been working on a Forest to Faucets program, and that's a program that we've been working with Michigan DNR and Michigan EGLE on ways to improve overall water quality and improve our management of our well-field sites. We have 13 point-of-entry treatment plant well-field sites that are located all throughout the 11 jurisdictions that we serve. Some of those properties are very large in land area. You know that how big the Fred McLinden Trail Station 25 is. Station 39 is a little bit smaller than that, but it is still a pretty large land area. When we look at those land areas, we see that there's some very valuable timber stock, valuable from an environmental perspective, and certainly valuable from a water quality perspective. We hired a professional forester to come out and evaluate those sites, and what those recommendations from that professional forester were that we've got some very desirable hardwood growth areas. However, those hardwood growth areas are not regenerating. So that means that they're not growing new oak trees, they're not growing new hickory trees. And what we're seeing is that there's invasives and other non-desired tree species that are growing up in their space. The reason why those oaks and those hickories are not regenerating are two primary reasons. One, the basal area is too dense. That means there's too many trees in an area. And so the canopy is competing against itself, and a new, say, an acorn is not going to grow into a tree because the sunlight is not penetrating that canopy, and the trees are kind of fighting each other. Within that, we're also seeing significant storm damage, so that these trees, if they are able to find kind of a gap in the canopy, they're growing really tall and really quick, and they're not growing very strong, and so they're at risk for a lot of storm damage. The next area of concern is deer browsing. So we're losing a lot of potential trees to deer browsing. That's where deer come in and kind of eat a young tree, say a young oak and hickory. Young saplings are very desirable for deer. They like them, they like to eat them, they like to eat them even in the wintertime. We've done some studies with our own city forester and with the DNR, partnering some test trials at Fred McLinden to see if how trees could grow if we protected them from deer. So we had a few areas where we fenced off areas completely and protected it from deer, and we saw that those areas versus unprotected grew very well. And so we found that we were able to generate some reforestation if we were able to kind of take the deer out of the equation. So the kind of two programs that we're looking towards are a managed timber program to kind of thin out some of those hardwood areas, some of those older generation trees, so that we can kind of make room for newer trees, so that we can regenerate this old growth forest, this hickory oak forest into the future. So that would be very beneficial from our water quality standpoint and from an environmental standpoint. And we're also looking at ways to manage deer. We had a successful deer management program that kicked off last year in Ross Township. That went very well for us. So learning a few things from that program, it is our goal to bring that into some additional programs. I'd also say the reference back to a City Kalamazoo deer management plan was just a reference of a way to manage deer. It's not to say that that's a City Kalamazoo policy that we're applying into Comstock Township. I would say what is accurate is that here at the station in Comstock Township, we are actively pursuing, or it's our desire to pursue some deer management tactics. and this is one tactic that we'd like to explore. So with that, I'll turn it over to Jean to get some more details in it, and happy to answer any questions that your board may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. Will you help her lower that?
Thank you. Sorry, short person. I'm Jean Talanda. I'm the Water Programs Manager. I started about 8 years ago. I'm also the Wellhead Protection Program Manager, which means that I work with the state on doing all kinds of protective things around our well fields, primarily to protect the water resources, where 100% drinking water comes from the ground in our system. So we depend on protecting the groundwater resources as a very key, important aspect of our water supply. It is in the area around our well fields where we pump, we call them capture zones. Within a 1, 5, and 10-year time frame, we know how far out we are pulling in water. So the 10-year capture zone will capture the water within that area in 10 years. So we know these areas need to be protected, which is why the city has purchased large tracts of land, is to prevent industrial and commercial buildup around there and reduce the possibility of spills and releases. We also have a phenomenal aquifer system, but it's also very vulnerable to spills and so forth. So we have within the 1-year capture zone around our well fields we highly reduce restrict chemical use. It's extremely restricted. If you get out to the 10-year capture zone, it's less restrictive. Your wellhead protection program mimics ours, and we appreciate that because it's your jurisdiction that our well fields are in. So as a wellhead protection program manager, a number of things laid on my lap, and they all started leading to various types of land management. This is how it all kind of began. Working with the DNR, the local farmers on our property, I've learned an awful lot. Director Baker has been in full support of us improving the quality of the forest, the waterways. We have creeks that go through here. We have lakes that we are involved. So we are trying to be good stewards of the land, what was neglected from years ago. These properties were farmed in the past, and then just, certain features came about where they were just left. A lot of soil erosion and issues. These trees are pretty much volunteer trees. They're not the prime trees that we would like to see. They're just the ones that grew up. We have tons of invasive species, and we're working on an overall plan, but we're taking it step by step. This is new for us to try to pull it all together under one land management program. So we started with tree harvest because that's kind of where it all starts. According to our forest management plan and DNR, they are highly supportive and have been working with us through the forest, yeah.
The forest deposits?
Yeah, I always get it wrong. Forest deposits. So if we have good, healthy roots and systems in our plants and trees, it actually helps the water quality. We actually started before that program actually began, so we kind of worked with them side by side because we're kind of a model for the state on what we've been doing towards this program, and they actually use our slides in their presentations, just to point that out. But it's all integrated, and it's not worth trying to take out the bad trees, sell enough good trees to thin out the forest and bring in sunlight if we don't do something about deer, because anything we do, as everyone has pointed out, new tree growth, plantings, and so forth is a waste of time because the deer eat them. The DNR visited Station 25 and said it was just an absolute resort for deer. Absolutely, we needed to get rid of them if we wanted to make any progress. So I suppose everyone has a few questions, but if you let me just explain a little bit about the deer management plan, I think that's what most people want to know about. We are highly restricting the hunters. We are offering to the township of Comstock their employees, any other police, or who else do I have, James? Fire. We are offering them to participate as hunters. We do have some Kalamazoo public safety officers who also are willing to put this time and effort into it. We did the same thing in Ross Township, and there was, our first year, we were very cautious. We ended up with a really great year. The people really enjoyed it, and we had good comments back. But James and I give a presentation where all the hunters have to attend. We go through the rules, the restrictions from the DNR standpoint, and James goes through them from the city's standpoint on what we restrict and what we do not restrict. They all have to sign a liability paper and sign in, and we track them, and they are required to call us when they're on site so we know that they're there. They not only will have a base permit through the DNR, we will provide them for free, antlerless deer tags, which we purchased through the DNR DAMP program. So all of this is in conjunction with the help of the DNR because they fully support what we're doing. We want to take these large tracts of land, so just give you some numbers. Station 39 is 63 acres. Station 25 is 365. Our Ross Township was 224, and our El Sabo is 700 and I think it's 41. So it's a substantial acreage for us to do. We do not have a lot of staff to do it, so we appreciate the opportunity to have involvement with the township and work through this. We're bringing this to you today because we have not actually, put a go sign on, getting this done, but we want to have feedback from the township. We want to make sure we're following all the regulations. We want to make sure that the public knows what we are doing. And we are being very cautious about the entire program. We ask for feedback from all the hunters at the end of the year. The DNR, knows what they're doing. So I think it's a pretty substantial plan. Is that pretty good coverage of what it is? I'd be happy to answer questions if that's allowed.
Sure, and I would want to maybe add a few more points to that in terms of program development. We also worked with Michigan State University's Kellogg Forest. That's a 700-acre research forest in Ross Township. That it also involves passive recreation, so they have open trail networks where you can walk, you can do snow, cross-country skiing, all seasons during the same time period that they hunt. So there is active hunting that occurs at Kellogg Forest during the same time that there is active passive recreation. So there's a lot of feedback and learning that occurred between us and Michigan State University's Kellogg Forest to help with that. I also did want to make a note about our use of township employees, whether that's on the fire side, public safety, or Kalamazoo County Sheriff's Department folks. That's intentional. The reason for that is we want to make sure we're working with folks that are highly trained in response actions and kind of like rules and engagement, things of that nature. And so it's a very precision hunt. No hunter is ever going to take a shot that they can't guarantee that they can make. And no hunter is ever going to take a shot that's going to put anybody at risk or in danger. So it's something that's very intentional, leading from a perspective of safety and understanding that we're doing everything we can to manage that program, circling back and coming back to the point of improving water quality through the Forest and Faucets program. So we're happy to take any questions that the board may have. Happy to talk through this.
Attorney Thal, were you, did you hear anything in Ross when this was going on, or familiar with it at all?
I'm not really familiar with it. I mean, I didn't hear any negative comments about it.
Yeah, it's a lot of land to cover. So, Trustee Amos, any questions? Other than I can see you licking your chops ready for some venison and
It is my understanding you regulate how many hunters Well, do you like assign someone to an area, or how do you do that? How do you make sure that you don't have a lot of hunters in a certain small area?
Where there's a natural barrier, we do separate the deer harvest areas, but where we're at McLinden Trails, we actually are not including the pumping station area to the west side. We are limiting 2 of the fields on the west side also because we're working directly with the farmer. So we are limiting access off the farm fields. Actually, there was a comment about parking. We're not parking at the entrance. We have an arrangement with the farmer to use some of his access roads, and we don't anticipate a ton of cars going in that way. We're anticipating most people coming in through the parking lot off of H Avenue because there's plenty of space, and we will have signage out there as well. Again, we go through all of our rules and regulations and restrictions at our first meeting, then they have to attend that before we'll allow them to hunt.
And then Trustee Amos, I also add to that, that the, everything is permitted, so including their tree stand. And so that tree stand is permitted, and the location of it, including the location of it. So we work with the hunters kind of together in terms of where do they want to be, where do they want to spread out, and then we permit that specifically. So if a new tree stand shows up that's not permitted, that's not authorized at the well field, then that has to be removed. So everything's kind of managed and permitted with the hunters kind of together in unison so that we're being safe and that they are recognizing their space together, their fields of fire, that sort of thing.
They have to also have ID from the city. We give them specific tags with a unique number on them, parking tags, et cetera, so that we can track who they are. And if they don't have that, then we know that they're not part of the plan.
Thank you.
I've worked with the farmer, and I've reviewed his documents. I know how thorough you are for him to even put a kernel of corn in the ground, so I can imagine as thorough as they are for the space. I would think you would be just as thorough by the sounds of it. So it's just not open for anybody to hunt. It's regulated, it's planned. I like that idea. My question would be as far as like enforcement on that. You guys take care of that situation. Like, it's your property. We're not responsible for our ordinance officer to receive a complaint or anything like that. So if you could just speak to how you would manage that if you do experience, someone that's not permitted there, and how that would be identified. And if you could just touch a little bit on that.
Sure. So if there's any violations of our hunting program, we're going to be reaching out to DNR immediately. We are supported with the DNR through this program, and we've also been in contact with our local conservation officer. So that would be our primary route to enforce any kind of hunting regulation violations. If there were any outside violations to the site, trespass, vandalism, something like that, we would reach out to Kalamazoo County Sheriff's Office to file police reports in that manner. But anything hunting would go through DNR, Conservation Officer.
Thank you. And I'll talk with you about Farmer Brandon and his father-in-law's concerns, and we'll talk about that to make sure it sounds like he's in support of the program and harvesting and being able to get in there and things like that.
We've timed it all so that he can get his crops out and we can get the tree harvest done afterwards.
Yeah.
But he's all in line with the hunt. It helps him out, so his crops are not eaten. That's kind of a nice benefit for him. And we've worked out trailways, timing of the trailways, when the farm equipment comes in and gets harvested and all of that. We're trying to work with everyone that's involved, and that's why we're here today.
Yeah, appreciate you giving a young farming family an opportunity to do that. I know it's been of great benefit to them to be able to farm there, so thank you.
I have a follow-up question to Supervisor Martin. So you talked about if somebody, violates the hunting practices, you're going to reach out to DNR. I'm thinking about folks that hear that this program is going on, they're maybe not a part of it, they go out there. They're going to be boots on the ground regulating. Like, how will you know if somebody that shouldn't be out there has taken it upon themselves to join the hunt?
Sure, that's a great question. So our staff will be out monitoring. One of the requirements for this program is certainly you've got to get permitted through the city to participate in that, and then you also have to make contact with us on a daily basis. So if we get calls from, say, folks are out there errantly, or our staff sees folks, you don't have the city of Kalamazoo tags, you don't have the identification that we require, and so we'll be able to follow up very quickly. And if we do have somebody that's just kind of taking it upon themselves to hunt the land, we would engage with them through the DNR officer, through the conservation officer, and make them aware of it. We're going to kind of work through first from a voluntary compliance, work from an education standpoint, say, hey, this isn't just open to the public, you've got to register for it, these are requirements. You know, if they fit kind of the criteria and we've got an open spot, perhaps that's an opportunity to bring somebody into the program, or we would ask them to leave and to try again next year to become an applicant in the program.
Thank you. One more question for you. Will there be any notification to people that are using the park that this program is going on? And if so, how will we notify them? Because I think, you know, people are going to show up, and trails don't always mean people stay on trails, so.
Well, we've really improved the trails so that you have a good line of sight. I was just out there recently. They're nicely cut thanks to the Comstock Park department. They manage that for us, but we also go in and we've been trimming the trees. We have labeled the trails to try to keep people on the trails. We've removed areas so that there's no conflict with the city's truck, the working staff that have to use the service roads. And we're trying to reduce things like vandalism and so forth on our pumping station by keeping people away from there. We've marked areas that don't go here, that's trespassing, not allowed. So we've done everything to keep people on the trails. We recognize that sometimes people don't follow the rules, but we've done everything we can to the best of our knowledge. We have put signs out there on the uses of the park. I think you see it. It's a large sign when you walk into the parking lot, says, don't do this, don't do that. Continues on a whole bunch of don't do's. And we also have a QR code, so as people go there, they can put their phone up there and they can follow the trail on their phone and know where they're at. We also have some brochures that we print out periodically and put in a little box that show where the trails are, give a little history of the site because it's kind of interesting. And, you know, we're just trying our best way, but we will be marking with signs that hunting is in progress as well. And we can put together a brochure there and leave it there for the hunting so that they know what's going on if they choose.
Thank you.
Treasurer Bloomfield?
No, everything I was going to think to ask, the three of you did, so I'm good. Thank you. You did a great job. Thank you.
And I believe, too, I would have to double check, but I'm almost certain that our master plan and the northeast quadrant identifies open space and things like that. And so to maintain our rural character and have that open land for you guys to have, and we have a wellhead protection ordinance where we have designated agents and we have our staff reviewing development plans and things like that to protect the wellhead areas. I think it's a great opportunity for us to maintain that rural character of that open land, but then also there has to be some give back for you guys, because even if it's open land and it's forest, like, it doesn't take care of itself. It sometimes at times needs a little intervention. I did go to school with somebody that was way smarter than me, and like in 9th grade of high school, he was at Kalamazoo College in calculus and things like that. And he is a forestry manager in Minnesota. And we talk a lot, and he tells me about all the things that I don't understand. And so I think that there's a lot more than what meets the eye to managing a forest, so I've been told, and so I couldn't help but be in support of the project. And it sounds like the health, safety, and welfare of the residents is top of the priority, and you gotta sometimes do a little work to take care of the land. So I would be in full support. I would be in full support as well as finding a way to dialogue through as, you know, we put this on the agenda. I don't know when you want to press go on it, but for the residents' peace of mind, I would be glad to circulate some questions, comments, and concerns and find a way to get back to them before we just give it a big thumbs up. If we could maybe take a week or two to field some questions and concerns, and maybe I could work with Jean and then I could get back to those individuals who would have questions that perhaps we could address.
Yeah, we'd be happy to work with you, Supervisor Martin. We could put together like FAQ, frequently asked questions, and kind of address some of the concerns we've heard. In terms of schedule, we don't want to do anything that moves ahead of the township. I think this is certainly, it is our goal to do this work at the station, but if we've got to pause a little bit, we're more than happy to do so. You know, there's a lot of emphasis that we have understanding the trust and the relationship that we have, and we value that tremendously at the city of Kalamazoo. So we would not be a 11 municipality water system if it wasn't for that trust and those relationships that we have with all of our township partners. So we would really like to thank you for this opportunity, and we're more than happy to work through the board as, you know, as this develops further.
Yeah, we really appreciate your accommodation to reschedule and come back and bring this forward in the manner that you did. And to the residents that have concerns, that's exactly why we're here tonight. Instead of just doing it and then me receiving phone calls and wondering what's going on, we did it in this manner. And so maybe just an extension of maybe some FAQs and things like that, little dialogue, and I would be in support of this project. Trustee Amos?
Yep, I would be in support of it.
Clerk Lawrence?
Yeah, I think that the safety is well thought out, and that was my biggest concern, so absolutely.
Treasurer Bloomfield?
Yes.
Attorney Thal, do we need to take any formal action on this, or what would you recommend?
Is the city requesting any formal action on it, or just, is this more informative?
I would say this is informative. As we get closer, I'd say probably October, we would want to know some general direction, but I'm kind of hearing that we've got direction to move forward, but there's some requests for some additional dialogue and some additional information, which we'd be happy to provide.
And then to finish off, could it just be approved administratively and communicated, or
it could be a later agenda item for a later meeting, once they've provided the information that you want to see.
Yeah, and perhaps maybe we can put some of those FAQs in the agenda packet. The residents can have an opportunity to either meet with me, meet with you, and then we'll see here in the near future, depending on how much interest we get, where it goes from there. But as of now, it sounds like you have a majority of the board support. Thank you very much for your time. Yeah.
Just so you know, just for the sake of the hunters, hunting season for us starts September 12th, but we will delay it until at the proper time. But just to let you know, we're close to the hunting season.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I did see some questions in the crowd, and that'd be a perfect opportunity. You can address those questions to me. I'll facilitate it with these folks here, and we'll keep the meeting moving. We do have a full agenda, so I do understand people have questions, but we'll go about it in a different way. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All righty. Chief Deputy Bishop. So for the board, I did put a secondary packet with an assessment that Mr. Bishop was able to provide to us. That puts, it's a two-part approach. It's a little bit thinking into the future, secondarily to the contract that is in front of us. And then on the back page of that assessment and/or on the back page of your contract, it does have some numbers and some charts that we would reference for financial calculations. Handing it over to you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. Good evening. I appreciate the opportunity to come and explain the contract that's before you. As most of you know, Comstock Township has contracted with the County of Kalamazoo Sheriff's Office for, I've been there going on 24 years, and it was a number of years before that. So we have a long-standing partnership with contracted police services. Your contract expired in 2025, the end of 2025, and we did a one-year renewal of that contract, keeping everything status quo. But the Sheriff's Office was directed to kind of take a deep dive into contracting with the townships that they contract with to explore the true cost of providing the service that we do. We knew that it was that the townships were paying wages, benefits or fringe, overtime, and some slight or small portions of fuel costs. And what we knew at the Sheriff's Office, and really where it was pointed out by county administration, was that there's a lot more that goes into providing police coverage than just what was being billed to the township. So, and the sheriff and the Sheriff's Office was fine with that because it is a partnership. We are not coming to seek 100% reimbursement for the services provided. But the contract that we have in front of you that has been drafted after several months of revisions and consideration by the Sheriff's Office and the township, the county, the board, and corporate council, really only makes two small changes or two changes, and it is the manner in which it's billed. If you look at your police protection agreement there, it says draft on it, or at least it would say draft on it. Of course, the beginning date would be the first of the year on 2027. It would be a 3-year contract with the option of 2 1-year extensions, which is standard, which is what we've always done. If you skip down to paragraph 4, paragraph 4 talks about this contract reflecting a shared true cost of services. As has been in all previous contracts, the wages would be covered by the township. That is the wage of the deputy that bids your township. We have a 7-step scale that is a progressive scale from the first year that you're employed with the Sheriff's Office, and 7 years after that you receive a step increase. So the wage that you would be billed for would be reflective of the step of that officer, right? So if it's a first-year officer, you get the lowest, he gets paid the lowest, he or she gets paid the lowest scale. We're not billing you at the highest rate. We're billing you actually what that individual makes as far as an hourly wage. And that does include the wage, the overtime cost, the fringe, which is their retirement and their health care, and then any overtime, as I've said, that's how it's always been. But we would adjust to whoever bids that position. You would get the true cost of that wage. The other adjustment is the fuel cost. Previously, the township has been billed an assumed fuel cost. It was a fixed rate every quarter per vehicle. The township currently has 2 vehicles assigned to it, 2 patrol vehicles assigned. It was $1,600 per quarter per vehicle. We now have a mechanism that we can track exactly how much fuel is used by your township cars as opposed to just the assumed cost, right? So we have a WEX card that's assigned, one WEX card or a fuel card that's assigned to every single vehicle. Comstock has their own 2 vehicles. We would know how much gas is being used by the Comstock Township deputies. So that would be a true cost. It's no longer an assumed cost, whether it would be come in low or come in high. We would know by monthly reports exactly how much that is, and that would be itemized in your invoices as far as which car it was and how much fuel was used responding to calls for service in your township. So that's the adjustment, And then lastly, there is going to be an administrative fee on top of the wage and the fuel of 10%. That 10% fee is going to help to true up the cost of purchasing the vehicles, maintaining the vehicles, purchasing equipment, purchasing uniforms, helping to go towards the insurance for the vehicles, the insurance of the officers, and there's a whole, the onboarding, the equipment, the training, All of these things that are covered by the Sheriff's Office currently, and will still be covered by the Sheriff's Office, we are seeking a shared cost here. And it is to the extent of 10% of the total bill. Everything else within the contract remains about the same as what we've done in the past. So those are the only 2 or 3 changes that we're seeking.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So Trustee Amos and I this morning, we took the chart and then we just did some projections with the chart. We renewed our millage at the same rate that it was. And then we just tried to say, well, what kind of pickle could we avoid getting ourselves into? So if you look at the 2027 D19H step and you calculate the highest rates, times it by 4 deputies plus 10%, we would still come in under the approved millage language and numbers. Realistically, you kind of back it up in the middle somewhere where once September sometime is the bids would come in.
Correct.
So what we could possibly do is this contract is to move forward as is with 4, but we could see once those bids come in, if there's anything extra, maybe we could do an amendment to the contract. And if our community, by outreach, by listening to their concerns, wants to see a little bit more policing presence, maybe within that budget, we could decide that we could afford maybe 1 or 2. So trying to break the chart and see if we couldn't do it even with the 4 at the biggest numbers, plus the provision of the 10%, we were still coming in under. So I'd be confident that would be well-funded in order to move forward with this contract and perhaps, maybe even increase it a little bit. I did, as directed by the previous township administration, I did meet with Chief Deputy Bishop, Mr. McLean, and the sheriff, and the undersheriff at times, and we sat and we talked and we thought, what does Comstock Township look like from a policing standpoint? We were honest with one another. We said that, I have looked into options because if we're gonna embark on a contract, I wanna know what we're paying for. And if we're gonna do something, could we reinvent this wheel and do it ourselves? And the answer is definitely not. Like, we are nowhere near educated enough. We don't have the staff. And that's a good reason for a good partnership, and we can continue to foster that relationship. We can engage in this contract, and we can have expectations of one another, and we as a board can direct the sheriff's department on the things in particular that we're looking for to serve the needs of our community. And then there are the other options of that millage is what it is, and then as a board, do we decide to someday, if we can, gather the funds and do things correctly, do we pay for a little part of it ourselves? Or, so there's more than one way to work, but I believe the opportunity at hand right now is to work within this chart, this contract, figure out how to at least maintain what we're getting, and then figure out how we can improve it from there. And I had more than a great meeting, and I believe we could maintain a good partnership. So I would be in support. Is there any questions? Trustee Amos?
No.
Clerk Lawrence?
Several.
Have at it.
Fire away.
I saw that you provided the quantity of calls answered for Comstock. Do you happen to know, I'm just curious, how many calls get answered just from the county vehicles? So not from our township vehicles, but the county vehicles?
I don't have that number specifically right in front of me. I can figure that out.
Sure.
I would take some data mining on my end. But what I can tell you is that Comstock itself generates about 33 calls for service per day.
Right.
That could be anything from a traffic stop to a traffic accident, to a retail fraud, to a domestic assault. It varies. So anytime a Comstock deputy is pulled away because they're dealing with a retail fraud, which could take an hour or 2 hours, or a domestic assault, any other call that's coming in has to be handled by a general county deputy.
Right.
And those general county deputies on day shift might be 3. right? That's covering the entire rest of the county. So looking at the numbers, there's a good portion of those 12,000 calls of service per year are handled by general county deputies. But I don't have the exact number in front of me.
That's fair. My next question is, so in the contract, I noticed that the sheriff's office is not obligated to backfill a contracted deputy for absence due to vacation, extended medical leave, military leave, et cetera. It goes on, right?
Sure.
Unless we ask for it. So how would we know if a deputy is out for an extended period of time? I mean, a vacation is one thing, but.
Sure. Well, what we, I guess the simple answer is communication, right? It would be my office communicating with your office to whoever the point of contact you guys would deem, and say, listen, we have an individual who is going on military leave. He's expected to be off for 2 weeks. Would you like us to backfill that position? The current model, that might be 2 weeks worth of 12 hours shift that aren't covered, right? 80 hours per pay period, every 80 hours every 2 weeks. So that's 80 hours of coverage that you guys would not receive. How we've been handling it is we backfill it. The townships get filled first. The townships get filled first when it comes to shift bidding. We make sure that the townships have full staff. And that's done at the detriment of the general county per se, because we make sure that the townships are getting what they're asking for. If that person goes off on military leave, we would ask you, would you like us to backfill it? And if you would like us to backfill it, then you would receive on your invoice for that quarter whatever the cost was for that to be backfilled. And it would generally be at an overtime rate.
I was going to say, so it'll be over and above what our
Correct.
typical contracted rate is, because we're paying for the fringe benefits of the officer that's out, and then we're paying for an additional officer.
Correct.
Okay, just want to make sure I understood that. I think that answers. One last question, sorry. Do you have any idea how many officers the county is down right now? Like what you guys are in terms of coverage?
11.
11, okay.
It will be 11 in October.
All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Treasurer Bloomfield? Attorney Thal, do you have any thoughts on
I would just make one comment.
Yeah.
There is a typographical error in paragraph 19. So it references section 6, it should reference section 7. So,
And then as well as we would just change the date as well and the cover page, right?
Right.
If there are no further questions, would you like us to include that change in our motion?
Yes.
Be looking to one of you up here to make a motion and make those changes in that motion and see where this goes. Oh, actually, before we do that, Chief, do you want to speak to the patrol staffing assessment, or would you prefer that we review this internally and then circle back with questions, or are you ready to speak to that model right now?
However you're comfortable.
Yeah, it was just the 1.7 and the 5.7 relief factor, so
Sure.
I didn't know if you had this in front of you, so I didn't want to.
I don't have that specific
Yep.
in front of me, but I am pretty familiar with it. And I'll just kind of explain it in general terms. When Comstock asks for an officer to be here 24/7, we have 4 deputies that are assigned here, right? And that's each one of them works a 12-hour shift, and they work opposite. So in theory, you would have 24 hours of coverage, except for the times when that officer decides that they want to take their family on vacation, right? So there's 40 hours off of his, or he has to call in sick because he's ill or injured or military leave, or he has court, or he has training outside of there. So very quickly, his 2,080 hours that you all pay for the year gets dwindled down, and based on training, vacation, sick, calls for service, I guess you could say, right? Like 33 calls for service. Every time he goes on a domestic, he's out of service per se, not available for coverage. That's why it takes more than just your standard 2,080 hours per person times 4 to cover 24/7. People do take vacation, and we do have to train them. So the 5.7 deputies reflects that. You would take how many hours, the 8,760 hours of service it takes for 1 year of 24/7 coverage, minus the amount of vacation that they earn, sick time they earn, the training that we require, all of that. That's how you figure the 5.7 deputies it takes to actually cover 24/7. So knowing that equation, you're at 4 deputies expecting 24-hour coverage, and you're short, right? Like, that's why, and we hear it, but we also know that we're short as well, but we hear it that we never see the deputies. Well, because they are very busy in the very busy areas. 4 deputies assigned to a township that has 12,000 calls for service per year don't have a lot of time on their hands to drive a neighborhood, to check on, just stop by community events. They're constantly busy. So the suggestion is at least 5.7, right, 5.7 to maintain 24-hour coverage. And then with the addition of any deputies over time, you would increase your ability to be proactive, right? There's that officer presence, there's that officer engagement, there's that opportunity to be more proactive than reactive. Because right now, here in really a lot of places we're reactive. We're only able to respond to calls. So.
And at one point, we did have an attributed 7. Correct. Is that correct?
Yes.
And so I just wanted the board to be cognizant of, if we are paying the bill for 4, but expecting service and the results from 8 or 9, we just have to understand what we're paying for. And then at some point, if we want more presence and coverage, we've got to, trim some stuff up here in order to be able to provide that to the residents. So I just wanted to, the contract that we're engaging in, it's a good way to get started, but can we do better? Can we have more proactive coverage? Things like that. We just have to make sure we're comparing apples to apples. Clerk Lawrence?
I was going to say, can I ask one more question?
You betcha.
So in theory, having this contract, that's the difference that we're trying to achieve, right? Versus if we didn't, because taxes go to pay for county sheriff anyway.
Correct.
So if we didn't have this contract, we're just basing on county vehicles, we would likely not have the proactive policing. That's what we're trying to achieve through this. We just need more.
Sure. So this is not, and I hope it don't come across, this is not the sheriff's office or Chief Deputy Bishop like trying to sell you more deputies. This is 100% what if you said
numbers are numbers.
Yeah, if you said you want 2, I would say we're happy to provide 2. I'll put 2 back into General County, and you can have 2. But the numbers are numbers, like you said, and then those numbers show exactly what it takes to actually have a true 24-hour service. So yes, what would happen is those people would go back to our General County, because I do have 11 openings. So they would go back to there, and they just wouldn't prioritize Comstock. They would still be here. They would be here, but they're also going to be in Waukesha and Prairie Ronde and Ross, and so the response time is not quite the same. And what we've seen in other communities is when a deputy bids Comstock Township for 1 6-month bid, or 2 6-month bids, or 3 6-month bids, they become kind of a part of the community, right? Like, people know them. They build a rapport, or at least they have an understanding of, the community. So by Comstock having dedicated service, a lot of times you'll get the same officers over and over and over again, which builds rapport, which builds community, I guess is what you could say. So
I appreciate it. I just ask questions because I think it's important for everybody to understand, right?
Yeah, sure.
Everyone's tax dollars go to it, and so it's understanding why.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And my last note is just to put some metrics to the money, and so we got money that we're paying, but we just don't want to have over expectations of getting more than what we're paying for. And then if we want to build a relationship, we have to understand that we know what we're paying for, and then find ways to serve the community. So I'd be looking for a motion if there's no further questions. Trustee Amos, you got a question?
just for you.
Microphone, please.
Well, in the motion, did you want to say as presented, or did you want to add the change?
Add we would want it, the changes as Attorney Thal had recommended, which would be on this.
Yeah, I'll just say as Attorney Thal, okay?
Good enough? All right, hit it, Jerry.
Okay, I make a motion that we accept the sheriff's contract as Attorney Thal has suggested.
Motion made by Trustee Amos.
Support.
Support by Clerk Lawrence. Roll call vote?
Trustee Amos?
Yes.
Supervisor Martin?
Yes.
Clerk Lawrence, yes. Treasurer Bloomfield?
Yes.
4-0, motion carries.
Thank you, Chief Deputy. Appreciate your time. Alrighty, so website proposal and possible action in the packet to really get down to the meat and potatoes of it. It's the Platinum Package, $3,995 with a hosting and annual maintenance of $1,295. The reason for this is at the Michigan Township Association, the websites, I believe it's 2028. At some point, time is creeping up on us, and we could get fined $50,000 and money per day for a non-ADA compliant website. It was the talking point of multiple educational sessions, and so it is inevitable that we are going to at some point need to do this. When you open the can of worms in order to work on the website, in order to make it ADA compliant, you also have the opportunity to do a little bit of rebranding, a little bit of a redesign on the website, maybe a little bit of configuration. And I can tell you that I don't think our website at this point right now has anything to write home about. I don't think we should get too carried away and do anything absurd, but I do think we need to come into compliance with the laws and be there before we get to that point. That way we could get some feedback from those who have disabilities and figure out by that time that law comes in place, how we could make it better. And, you know, I think we're due for some rebranding. Trustee Amos?
I don't have anything.
Clerk Lawrence?
Not much. I would agree our website is not as user-friendly as it could be.
Treasurer Bloomfield?
I agree, it's pretty hard to navigate. I'd like to see it simplified.
Sounds like a plan. So with that being said, if we made the motion, I don't know if you guys would, an attorney thought perhaps you could advise us. We have the Platinum Package and the maintenance. We have the proposal in front of us. Do we need to have the numbers added up, or could we just make the motion for the bid as presented for the Platinum Package and the hosting and maintenance?
You can just make that a single motion for the Platinum Package and hosting and maintenance as proposed.
Okay, I'd be looking for a motion if there's no further questions.
Yeah, I make a motion, excuse me, lost my place. I am making a motion that we accept the website proposal by Shoemakers as proposed.
I feel mentioned with Platinum Package?
With Platinum Package.
And annual maintenance and hosting.
And annual maintenance and hosting.
Motion made by Trustee Amos. Looking for support?
Support.
Supported by Treasurer Bloomfield. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, so purchase agreement for 55 School Street and possible action. In the agenda packet, I had, I worked with Attorney Thal, I worked with our assessor. Basically, the property assessed on a high value, on a high note, and this would just be a forecast because it's not currently on the tax assessment rolls because it's owned by the township. We are seeking quotes, and we've received quotes, multiple quotes. We've gotten 3 quotes, and then we had a 4th pending, but we called it off because we didn't want to waste any contractor's time, because as we were exploring quotes, somebody showed interest to clean the property up. The property is adjacent to the property that they purchased from the old school. And they've done a great job refurbishing that property. And essentially what I think Chief Deputy Bishop would contest to is we get a lot of calls and complaints for drugs. Maybe the cooking of drugs, the selling of drugs, the doing of drugs in that area. It's a pretty wooded area. We have a lot of trash, a lot of loitering going on. It's township property. At this point, we're not really doing anything with it. The quotes that came through are between $40,000 and $50,000, which are more than the property is worth. Somebody has an opportunity, and with this purchase agreement, they would clean it up themselves. We could part ways with it. They have an expectation to clean it up, and I believe it's a win-win for the township, and there is some interest to do some housing development, perhaps, or some recreational area, something that would bring this property back on the tax assessment rolls. So I think it's a dual-edged sword. It's a win-win for the township, and it helps us clean up a little bit of blight and some of the crime that's happening. Attorney Thaw, if I could turn it over to you to speak to the legalities of the agreement and to ensure the board that this would be a legal agreement.
So,
and how it would be enforced.
Yeah, so the township, in selling any property or anything of the township, you have to get what's called value for value exchange. That's required by the law. You can't just donate anything. You have to get value for value. Now, what that value is something that this board gauges. What is the value that you're getting in return for the property? And so in this case, there's, as Supervisor Martin has indicated, there's substantial amounts that are going to be required to remediate that property. Looking at quotes that the township's gotten $40,000 to $50,000 to remediate it. We've talked with the assessor. The property, from the assessor's standpoint, is not worth that much, but it can be worth that to a neighboring property owner if they intend to clean it up and try to put it to some other use. So in this case, they're required to, the seller, the township has determined that the property is presently in a state of disrepair with debris that constitutes a threat to health, safety, welfare of the public. The purchaser in the term, so the value for value is you're going to provide the property to the purchaser at no cost. But the purchaser, by this agreement, has to remediate the property within 6 months of the date of the transfer of ownership. So they have obligations they have to do pursuant to the contract to clean it up. If they fail to clean it up and take care of it, then the township has a right of reverter, and you can take back the property. So if it's not, if they don't accomplish what they've agreed to accomplish, meaning you don't get the value for value, then you can have the property revert back to you. So I think from a legal standpoint, you're protected, and you're also complying with the constitutional requirement of value for value exchange.
Thank you, Attorney Thaw. Any questions for me or Attorney Thaw?
No questions. It'd be nice to see it back on the tax rolls.
I'd be looking for a motion if there's no further questions.
Okay.
I move that we approve or move forward with the purchase agreement for 55 School Street.
Motion made by Clerk Lawrence. Looking for support?
Support.
Supported by Treasurer Bloomfield. Roll call vote?
Treasurer Bloomfield?
Yes.
Supervisor Martin?
Yes.
Trustee Amos?
Yes.
Clerk Lawrence, yes.
Alrighty, so when I was able to assume all of the duties as supervisor, I was going through a lot of boxes of paper, a lot of notes, a lot of different random things, and there appeared to be what I refer as a recents folder, and there was a folder that had a little bit more information, that was a little bit more relevant, that was a little newer, and it was a parking lot quote, multiple parking lot quotes dated within a relative time, and I walked with our maintenance service supervisor here, or maintenance supervisor, and walked around the property. As a township supervisor, I'm responsible for preservation and maintaining all township property, and I seen that there was a quote for north of $40,000 to redo the parking lot out front. And then I seen there was a quote for the $7,000 range, which the exact numbers would be in the packet. And then I requested other quotes from other companies. Nobody showed up to quote it. And it was interesting, the company showed up to give me a quote at my place and then didn't quote it here. And so I thought, well, you didn't show up to the township. Anyways, I was hoping to get more quotes, but Tustin's has a quote in there. It's for a part or for a full quote. And so what I asked Tustin's were, hey, if you have your crew here already and you're gonna do this chunk of the parking lot, what would you do to just get the whole thing done for us? And they said, well, hey, we'll get the whole thing done, plus we'll stripe it. And that is the full quote. That is in the $12,000 range. Exact numbers are in the packet. I asked our maintenance supervisor what he thought about that, and he thinks that, you know, a quote to maintain it. If at some point we don't maintain it, we're gonna lose it and have to tear it up. The cracks are getting pretty big. There's some drains that are broken and chipping, and another point of contention was snow plowing in the winter. If we don't do a little bit of maintenance now, it's just gonna get worse. So I would be much more in favor of a little maintenance and preservation with a full quote. I think we get a full value, and I'm more inclined to see us do that than to have to do a full rip out and spend north of $40,000 at this point in time. If there are no questions or any questions, I'd be looking for a motion after questions.
I would just like to say that as a facilities manager for a company, I worked with Tustin's, and they do a very good job. They're very reliable. I paid them a lot of money to pave parking lots, and I think this is a good quote. I think they would be a good company.
Thank you, Trustee Amos. And I'd be glad to provide the board the quote from the other company, A1 Asphalt. I did submit it to be in the agenda packet, but however, I did have quite the bit of information on here, and so somehow it was not on the quote, but it's north of $40,000 for the renewal, which really isn't practical for us at this point. Any further questions? Treasurer Bloomfield?
I think it's a very good quote, and I always like the fact that if you can find somebody to stripe it the minute they're done sealing, it's a plus, and that's a very fair price to stripe that also. So I would be in support of it.
Thank you, Treasurer Bloomfield. Clerk Lawrence?
Yeah, I agree. We're talking about a $4,000, $4,500 difference between the very much required maintenance and getting the whole thing squared away. Seems like a small amount compared to $40,000 total, and so, yeah, I'm all in.
Sounds good, and it was recommended that we move forward with the $12,000 100 quote. I did call Tustin's to have them come back out to redate and honor the first quote. So they came back out, they said that they would honor that, and then at that time when they updated it, they took a second look. So it's pretty recent and within the market price of what they quoted, so we could get it done for that. If there's no further questions, be looking for a motion.
I make a motion to accept the parking lot quotes from Tustin's for $1,200.
Trustee Amos, thank you very much. Motion made by Trustee Amos, looking for support.
Support.
Supported by Clerk Lawrence. Do we need a roll call vote for this?
Yeah, whenever you make expenditures, you should do it by roll call.
Roll call vote.
Trustee Amos?
Yes.
Clerk Lawrence, yes. Treasurer Bloomfield?
Yes.
Supervisor Martin?
Yes.
4-0.
Since we did a voice vote for the website, should I amend that motion and redo a roll call vote on that, or is that not as prudent as like township property?
If you want to go back and do roll call, that's fine.
Sure. How would you recommend we just go about that? We had a motion, we had a second?
Yeah, and just revote it.
Yeah, let's revote the website, just so now we know. Looking for a roll call vote for the website proposal and possible action.
All right, roll call. Supervisor Martin?
Yes.
Trustee Amos?
Yes.
Treasurer Bloomfield?
Yes.
Clerk Lawrence? Yes.
Thank you. We are now moving on to the MSHDA Homeowner Rehabilitation Partnership presentation with possible action. Carly, thank you very much for making this short notice of a meeting.
Yeah, happy to be here. I'm Carly Thompson. I'm with the Kalamazoo Climate Crisis Coalition, and I approached the township. Well, let me just do a little storytelling. I live in Marcellus Township, outside of the village, and I ride to gym every other day with our former librarian, who is now working part-time administering this grant through the through Mista for this is her second time doing it for Marcellus Village, and will be her first round doing it now for Marcellus Township. And as I drive through these little dilapidated rural neighborhoods, she points out a new roof, a new wheelchair ramp, a new rehabilitated garage that was smashed by storm damage. And I was like, what is this money? How did you get this? And she explained a little more that this is state money through Mista that is available for rural districts that don't have access to HUD funding like Portage or Kalamazoo would, the city of Kalamazoo. And community building organizations like the Kalamazoo Climate Crisis Coalition have the opportunity to partner with a municipality to help administer the grant. So the way it would work is the township would apply and become the awardee of the grant. We have already expressed interest. Mista has informed us that Comstock Township is eligible for $800,000 of home rehabilitation funds. And I'm here today just to explain a little bit about what it is so that you can consider whether or not you would like to proceed with the application process. We've been working with Ben and Dean and my executive director, Jenny Dozema, who can't be here today because she is at a recruitment event for a program that we already run, which is called Climate Ready Homes. It does the same sort of thing. It's critical home repair that leverages state dollars, utility dollars like from Consumers Energy and other grant dollars that are available. So we just are in the business of capturing all of these available but sometimes tricky to get or tricky to administer grant dollars, braiding the funds together, recruiting. All of our programs that we do now are for owner-occupied homes. This program would also be for owner-occupied residents. And the money that I outlined earlier that's already set aside, earmarked, if we choose to apply, is enough to do 26 homes in the township, up to $25,000 per home. And that would include all of the money to do the repairs themselves, plus the administration costs that KC3 would incur. And how it would work is that the applications would be available here at the township office. And once and we could do some joint outreach, like right now, our staff is at the Edison Neighborhood Association promoting our Climate Ready Homes to drum up interest of potential eligible. All of these programs, our program and this Mista program, are income qualified. So it's, you have to do a lot of trust building and outreach in the community to let people know it's available, what types of folks are going to qualify, what the requirements are. And because it's income qualified, trust is really important. People have to hand over a lot of personal information about their finances in order to benefit from the program, but it's worth it because it adds a lot of value to their home and also can bring down their energy utility bills because it's going to improve the envelope of their house and make it a lot more energy efficient. So that's all to say, KC3 and the township would work together to do outreach. And it would be really critical to have partners who are embedded in the community to help identify different folks who would be interested. And once the applicants came to the township to get the application, you could pass that on to our team. We would do all of the vetting and income qualification. And then it's an 18-month grant period. And we would take cohorts of 5 to 7 homeowners through the process at a time. It is a reimbursement grant, so one of the big requirements of the township would be that you would front the cost of the repairs and then be submitting invoices to the state for reimbursement monthly. And I've been spending a lot of time picking the brains of the team that is in the third round of pulling this off, and they have administered $1.4 million worth of grants in between Marcellus Township and Village. And they said that really, like, the most critical part is to have a really solid clerk at your municipality who's willing to do a lot of relationship building with your community building organization, because we have the ability to do a lot of work on your behalf of uploading all of the IGX reporting into the state's reporting portal, and then communicating directly with the clerk and saying, okay, this body of work is done. All of the photos of the scope of work have been submitted with all of the contractor invoices. We would be working basically as like the general contractor and taking invoices, bids and invoices as work gets done from subcontractors, passing that on to the clerk and saying, okay, it's ready, go through and look at all of it. I actually just had a phone conversation today with the village clerk just to hear more about her experience, the learning curve, how much time it took, and all of these people are like being extremely generous with their learning curves and are willing to support us, because it is sort of, it can be a pain, but until you get it figured out. But once you get it figured out, the benefit that it potentially can provide to residents is just pretty awesome. And it's really on mission for us because we're in the business of greenhouse gas emission reduction, energy efficiency upgrades, and all of that always prioritizing community benefit for folks that have been most environmentally justice impacted. So the state has a screening tool called My EJ Screening Tool, and it shows hotspots across the entire state where people have experienced historical, it could be there's more flooding there, exposure to air quality issues, other contaminants in the soil or water, things like that. And I'm sorry to say, but not all of Comstock Township, but a large portion of it is above the 71st percentile, which is not good, which makes you a priority for KC3's work. Our service area is Kalamazoo County, of course, with the emphasis on these hotspots, which mostly are the core neighborhoods of Kalamazoo City, and then our rural friends here in Comstock. So that's how we came to initially pursue this. I learned today that really the first step would be a public hearing, which is a requirement of Mista. Ben, I haven't told you this yet because I just learned it today since I've spoken with you. So, but this is just an initial introduction for the board to understand that we're learning more about this and going through the steps up to this point. You have 120 days from the point of putting in your letter of interest, and it's a little bit unclear to us. We haven't gotten a firm due date for our application from Mista, but we expect to get that soon. Our champion at Mista has just been slow to communicate back to us, but as soon as we learn that, Ben will be able to share that information with the rest of the board.
And I did leave a message at 4:55 today for.
He's been diligent.
I think I've tried, and I'll keep trying.
He's
so.
been diligent, yeah. So, questions?
Yeah, if you'd just speak to the invoicing, the billing, the threshold, a little bit of monies that we would need to be made available, and to address the board that the whole lump sum of the 800,000 wouldn't need be made available at once.
No, so contractors are fronted 50% of the project cost to purchase materials, and the remaining balance is paid once the work is completed. So that would also, so the money, you just have to have like a amount of money to cover 1 month available at any given time, and it will constantly be spent down to cover project costs and administrative invoices that are coming into you and then being replaced by Mista reimbursement. And we've learned some tips and tricks from our friends in Marcellus about how often and how much to invoice to make sure that it doesn't get bumped up the chain of command for a higher level of review, so that you can really make sure that you don't have to keep a massive amount liquid, but it would need to be somewhere in the neighborhood of potentially, we haven't selected a firm hard number, but maybe $150,000 that could be always available, coming in, flowing out, and being reimbursed by the state.
In our conversation was, if we had, say for example, 50,000 out, it was like net 30 when we're really gonna receive our check. We are gonna reverse engineer the amount of time that we have in the grant and the funds, so funding, timing, and then keep the project rolling. So if there's 50 grand out and billed, and we got 30 days to receive it, how do we not stop to wait to, just to have some, and Dean and the team and I have worked on it, and I thought it would be appropriate and respectful of their time before we embark down the journey further with more, although we're seeking more answers, but we're gonna spend a lot of time on the application, and if the board was not in favor of making some funds liquid to be in support of the project, then I just wanted to be respectful of their time. But I would be in favor of, figuring out how we could budget and make that available. And it would be, it appears to me, a net gain of, obviously we have the administrative cost in there, but there's a significant gain out to the community that's just gonna take a little bit of sweat equity and some moving monies around from us. But Dean has been a rock star to help me with this, because this one was a lot for me. So Dean has been able to help, and I can twist his arm because he said he was going to still help, so.
And just to clarify, all of the administrative fees that would support KC3's work on this are covered by the $800,000 that are already earmarked by Mista.
So that was another one of those recents that I discovered and was able to pick it up and resubmit the letter with my signature and get it going. One of the questions that we really do have is from prior staff. It was not submitted correctly. And then I resubmitted it because the chief elected official had to sign the document. And so I signed it, and then we restarted the process, if you will, after the money was marked. So our question is, when did that 120 days start?
Yeah.
So if it started back then, we got to get pedal to the metal, and it'd be tough. But if they work with us, which they've been pretty helpful at accommodating what we need to do, hopefully that date is from the time that I resubmitted the letter.
Yeah.
With my signature.
They've been quite helpful, but they've also been slow to communicate. So I think that we also have a lot of ground to stand on to say that would have been helpful to know about 2 weeks ago when we asked. So
and that was an instance where they did kind of fumble a little bit, and then they course corrected and made it right with us. So I think that they're willing to work with us, and she made it clear that the money's marked for our community.
Yeah.
So it'd be $800,000 in value. So if you guys have any questions? Treasurer Bloomfield, looking to you.
Nope, I'm good.
Clerk Lawrence?
One question, since you said primarily rolling through me. So we can still bill even on that 50%. Let's say a project is spanning over that month, right? So the township puts out the 50% to the contractor to get them started. We hit our month end. It's time to bill. We can bill on that. We don't have to wait for the project to be completed, or is that money just floating until project is completed?
I think that we can go ahead and bill, and then the following 50%, even if it falls in the next month, can be
on the next one.
On the next one.
Great. I think it's an amazing program, and I'd be really excited to participate.
Great.
And Carly and Jenny, I appreciate the time. We've spent a good chunk of time already. I would like to see this through. So I would be looking for a motion to support this. And Attorney Thal, how would you recommend on such a thing we make a motion, since we don't have all the answers solidified? Would it just be to,
I think, just like you said, it'd be a motion to support the concept and to move forward with more concrete plans for implementing.
For application. For application.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have to find out what goes into the process. You know, it sounds like a public hearing, and, you know, there'll be process that you're going to have to go into further to get into the program. So right now, it's really just, are you in support of it and want to move forward with that, moving forward with the process?
Thank you, Attorney Thal.
Yeah.
Looking for a motion?
I move that we move forward with pursuing the Mista Homeowner Rehabilitation Partnership and the process as we identify it. Support.
Motion made by Clerk Lawrence. Looking for support?
Support.
Supported by Trustee Amos. Roll call vote?
Supervisor Martin?
Yes.
Clerk Lawrence, yes. Treasurer Bloomfield?
Yes.
Trustee Amos?
Yes.
4-0.
Motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you, Deputy Rockwell. All righty, moving along to Planning Commission appointment. We've got the Planning Commission appointment in the agenda packet. And so with this Planning Commission appointment, this would be to fill the vacant seat of Commissioner Bub Sherwood. And being that the Planning Commission has a lot going on right now, at one point I was a little timid with such a good functioning board to have a new board member be seated in the middle of such a project. After talking with the applicant and talking with our planning and zoning administrator, there is interest to spend the time together to get caught up to speed. I've worked with this individual for many years, both privately and through the DDA board. I believe that our boards need continuity, and I serve on the Downtown Development Board. We have a board eager to serve the community, and I think that when planning happens, the Planning Commission needs to be involved, but also the DDA is its own body. So the DDA has some projects in mind, and I believe that this individual will bring a little continuity to both boards and then be able to work and see how we can move forward together. It's Keith Wilcher, and he would be looking to fill the vacant seat of Bub Sherwood. So the application is in the packet. One thing that I would like to mention in comparison to other planning commissioners is there is the law of planning of appointing members of a planning commission, and one of them is to live within, geographically spread within, there's some terminology to try to encourage people not to all grill hot dogs in the same subdivision and talk about planning commission business. So it gets to represent a different part of the township. So Keith doesn't live. I put a couple pin drops on where the commissioners live. Keith doesn't live right on top of another one, and he is in industrial. And so you are supposed to represent a different industry and segment. Keith represents the industrial industry, as well as he's employed in the Commerce Park. So I think he brings a unique perspective to the Planning Commission. Would there be any questions? If there are no questions, I make a motion to appoint Keith Wilcher to fill the seat of Bub Sherwood on the Comstock Township Planning Commission.
Support.
Motion made by Supervisor Martin, supported by Treasurer Bloomfield. Actually, let's do a roll call vote.
Supervisor Martin?
Yes.
Clerk Lawrence, yes. Trustee Amos?
Yes.
Treasurer Bloomfield?
Yes.
4-0.
Congratulations, Keith. Welcome to the Planning Commission. All righty, so on another note for the Planning Commission, I move to appoint Amber Lawrence as the successor to the temporary appointee, Bill Korb. Actually, that was the other one, sorry. This one would be, essentially, we cannot have two township board members serve on the Planning Commission, and I have a letter of resignation from Treasurer Bloomfield. She'll be giving this to the Planning Commission. We don't have to formally accept her resignation from the Planning Commission. Correct, Attorney Thal? And so I would make a motion to to appoint Amber Lawrence to the Planning Commission for Sandy's term.
Support.
Motion made by Supervisor Martin,
Can I
supported.
vote on this? Sorry.
No.
I need to abstain, right?
Yes.
Want to make a motion to abstain?
I would, please.
Go ahead.
I move or request permission to abstain from voting on my appointment for the liaison.
Support.
Motion made by Clerk Lawrence, supported by Treasurer Bloomfield. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. And then, so make a motion to appoint Amber Lawrence to the PC for Sandy's term of office. We'll just try that again.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're waiting for me to support. Support.
Motion made by Supervisor Martin, supported by Treasurer Bloomfield. Roll call vote.
Can I call it even though I have to
Yes,
abstain?
you can call it.
Okay. Sorry, it's a minor learning curve. Trustee Amos?
Yes.
Supervisor Martin?
Yes.
Treasurer Bloomfield?
Yes.
Clerk Lawrence, abstain.
Motion passes. And just so the public knows, Amber already serves on the Planning Commission. Amber will not be the chair of the Planning Commission because she is a board member. She'll address that to the Planning Commission. They'll handle that business separately. Treasurer Bloomfield being on the Planning Commission and Clerk Lawrence being on the Planning Commission is not allowed. So we will have one board liaison, and Clerk Lawrence will report back, once again, with that synergy and continuity from the Planning Commission to the Township Board. Congratulations, Amber. Congratulations on a little part of retirement towards Treasurer Bloomfield. So, and my apologies for getting a little tangled up. I got too many pieces of paper in front of me here. Moving along to EGLE Compost approval letter. We have a approval letter, and I was notified at one point when the supervisor duties were all restored to some degree that the compost station, or the transfer station, was out of compliance with the state of Michigan, and we were going to get a fine. And I said, sir, well, maybe could we work with you to address that? One of the things is that the debris at the transfer station was supposed to be dropped off there, and within a very short time, it was supposed to be all hauled away. And for the rates that we charge in order to drop yard waste, to truck it out, it was not practical. So the cost of the application in order to be a compost facility made sense with the blink of an eye in order to pursue that. So I worked with Planning and Zoning Administrator to submit documents, worked with EGLE, and we are now in compliance, and we'll be able to add a little bit extra of material, and we'll bring that forward, but we will be able to have compost at the transfer station, and maybe someday, and we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but maybe we could either donate compost or we could sell it and have a little bit of a stream of revenue for the transfer station to support other things that residents enjoy, like brush pickup, things like that. So we did receive our approval letter with our new license in the mail. Moving along to employee manual update and action. One thing in the employee manual, I've spent a lot of time, and I'm still going through it and learning every day. It's quite complex. There's a lot of things. When the supervisor duties, MCL 42.11 were given to the supervisor, there was a lot of gray line, not very clear things that were still in the policy, and that was due to the word superintendent being in there. We did replace the word superintendent with supervisor, but only pertaining to those statutory duties per statute for supervisors. But the employee manual, in order to run a functioning township, has many more things that is expected to do. And I am looking for support in replacing all the word superintendent with supervisor in the employee manual. And I believe that would allow me to effectively do my job to its full extent to serve the community. Any questions? No. If there are no questions, be looking for a motion.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
You want me to? All right, I will. I move that we change the employee manual wherever it states superintendent, have it changed to supervisor.
Support.
Motion made by Treasurer Bloomfield, supported by Trustee Amos. Attorney Thal, do we need a roll call vote?
You should do one on this.
Okay, and I would be allowed to vote on this as well, correct?
Correct.
Roll call vote?
Clerk Lawrence, yes. Treasurer Bloomfield.
Yes.
Trustee Amos.
Yes.
Supervisor Martin.
Yes.
4-0.
Thank you. I am proposing a discussion on supervisor salary and action. I'd look to Attorney Thal if I need to make a motion to abstain from the discussion, or if I,
You don't have to abstain from discussion, but you should not vote on the matter.
okay. I make a,
Otherwise, I mean, you have to present to the board what you're asking for.
yeah, okay. I make a motion to abstain from voting for the supervisor's salary.
Support.
Motion made by Supervisor Martin, supported by Trustee Amos. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Supervisor salary, you know, I enjoy doing the job. I like it. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot of room for opportunity. And, but $10,000 just doesn't cut it. I've done it for a little while now. And I would leave it up to the board on what direction that they would like to see somebody get paid that would be committed to doing the job. Treasurer Bloomfield.
Well, you definitely can't keep working for how many cents an hour? And it's been a long 2 years working for that. So I would say that since you're taking on the responsibility of HR, along with all your statutory duties, that you need to be somewhere in the range of, where I've checked with other municipalities, of around $135,000 a year plus benefits.
Thank you, Treasurer Bloomfield. Clerk Lawrence.
I think about if you're taking on all of the responsibilities of superintendent, and by effectively changing the manual to assigning you all of those responsibilities, to me, there should be, I don't understand why we would have paid a superintendent, I think it was like 135-ish, and we wouldn't do the same for you. It's an apples to apples job. I do see, however, that there's potentially a township savings, because if you think about it, we also paid on top of that $10,000 to Ben Martin, and we paid a vehicle stipend to the superintendent. So to me, paying you $135,000, which is a apples to apples comparison, less those two things, still puts the township ahead and puts you in a position that seems appropriate for the job that you're taking on.
Thank you. Trustee Amos.
Well, I'd like to throw a couple facts in here. First of all, I don't know if you all know it, but Ben here has a degree in business. He's also a licensed contractor. If you did a little math here and you figured out the stipend and what the superintendent got paid, he made $151,000. So I think this figure is a good figure. He's a good worker. We were all here Monday morning to make sure that you got service, that everybody got service, that the citizens were here, if they came, that we were here to help them. And we've been working, can't imagine the amount of hours that we have turned in, and I'm sure he's going to continue on with these hours. So I think the figure is a good figure, and I have no problem with it.
Thank you, Trustee Amos. Any further board discussion? If not, be looking for a motion.
I'll make it. I make a motion. What was the figure that you said?
135?
130?
135?
135. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I got it right. Okay, I make a motion that the superintendent be paid Supervisor, I'm sorry, that the supervisor be paid $135,000 with full benefits.
Support.
Motion made by Trustee Amos, supported by Treasurer Bloomfield. Roll call vote.
Treasurer Bloomfield?
Yes.
Clerk Lawrence, yes. Trustee Amos?
Yes.
Supervisor Martin, abstain?
Yes, ma'am.
3 and 1 abstain. Motion carries.
Thank you. So this is something that I'm excited to do. I think we're going to change it up a little bit. We're going to have as much fun with the situation that's been dealt to us. And I think together as a board, we'll send some, we'll figure out a way to legally talk to one another to figure out how to go about doing this. But I think it should be more, we should have a good time with it. And we should not just like have boring interviews and submit your paper resumes. Like we should elaborate a little bit. And I don't know how we're gonna do that, but we should do something different. Perhaps maybe that no township's done in the past. So, just like to read a letter. Comstock Charter Township is seeking qualified residents interested in serving on the Township Board of Trustees. There are currently 3 vacant trustee positions to be filled by appointment. The township will accept resumes interested in candidates and will conduct interviews as part of the appointment process. Residents interested in serving their community are encouraged to submit a resume and letter of interest to the Charter Township of Comstock Board and submit it to the Township Supervisor for consideration as part of the interview and appointment process. Submissions may be delivered to 5858 Kings Highway, Kalamazoo, Michigan, 49048, or submitted electronically to the Township Supervisor, supervisor@comstockmi.gov. Qualified candidates will be contacted regarding the interview process, and as of today, 2 weeks from today, we will accept those applications, and then together we will decide how we would like to conduct the interviews, whether it would be privately or in a public forum, or at some point, I know the board has talked about getting together for some sort of dialogue and discussion and have an opportunity to hear from residents. So I think somehow between some of those conversations that didn't get done and this opportunity, I don't know exactly how, perhaps we may merge them. Perhaps we may just take the applications and the letters of interest and then possibly just have the interviews privately, but it would be...
Supervisor Martin, if I could just interject there. So all interviews have to be done in open session. So
even if it's just 3 of us?
It's going to have, yes.
Yeah.
You can't narrow down the field. You have to...
yeah, very good.
It has to be an open meeting, so noticed and...
Yeah, so within the parameters of the bumper rails that were dealt, we're going to do this, and it would be great to do it in a public forum. So I'm looking forward to meeting everybody. Any comments from board members? Any words of encouragement to people? Anything you got?
I'll give you words of encouragement. I will tell you that it can be nerve-wracking, but it's really super rewarding, and I've really enjoyed the time that I spent on the Planning Commission the last almost 2 years. I've learned a lot. It's not so bad to have to sit up here and talk into a microphone, and if you're passionate about contributing to the community, I would encourage you to come talk to us, because I think that that's what Comstock has been asking for this entire time, is folks that they feel like represent them and that are here to serve the community. So if that speaks to you and speaks to your heart, I'd encourage you.
Thank you. Treasurer Bloomfield?
I think that one of the things that you really need is good listening skills, and you need to have thick skin, and no matter what people stand up at that podium and say, you need to respect them, and you need to not take it personally. It's what they feel, and if you're not listening to them, you're not doing your job. So whenever any of you were up there, no matter what you say about any of us or to us or whatever you're talking about, I enjoy listening to you. I mean, and I learn from you, and that tells me what you want as residents. So it's a great way to serve your community and get involved, and there's a lot more opportunities than just sitting up here at this credenza, and a great place to start is as a trustee, because the 3 of us have a lot of responsibility up here. So I would definitely, if you're interested, get in touch with us, please. Thank you.
Trustee Amos?
I ran for office to serve the community and to serve God. And I've been really moved by how hard we've worked lately. And I just thank you all for coming, for sitting here waiting all this time this evening and being with us. Thank you.
Thanks, Trustee Amos. That was nice. Moving along to reports. Recognition from the City of Parchment. July 2026 CABA reports, July 20th sheriff reports, planning and zoning admin report, July 26th fire department incident report, bills paid, July 22nd, 2026 through August 13th, 2026, August 4th, 2026 election report. We have no informational future action items, and we're moving along to public comment on agenda and non-agenda items. A citizen may state their name and address and may speak only one time for no more than 3 minutes. This time may not be given to another citizen to extend their time. The person speaking has the floor. No other citizen shall speak during someone else's time. During this time, you'll be making statements to the board without discussion from board members, but you're welcome to make an appointment with the supervisor, discuss your comments further. Contact information is located by the door. Please keep comments clean and respectful.
Karen Height. The public land use for the clearing of the trees and the deer population. I own 20 acres in another, of woods in another township. And it's true, when we bought that property about 20 years ago, it was right after straight line winds went through and pretty much decimated our property. It's growing back, but like they said, when you lose your canopy, that's when you start getting all the scrub. So what we can do to clean up that property is important, but I do have a couple questions about having the deer hunt and it being employees, police, whatever, that's fine, because they are respectful of weapons, knowing what they're doing and stuff. But if they do gut the deer in the property, rather than taking it home or whatever to gut it, who cleans up the gut piles? Do they just leave them for the coyotes, the whatever? Is that gonna bring in more of those animals? So I think that's something to consider. And also, who keeps the deer meat? Is it the person that shoots it, or are they allowed to give it away? My husband's a deer hunter. By law, he can't give away his deer. I know people do, but by law, you're not supposed to have it processed and give it away. So just wondering who's going to keep the deer once they shoot them. An idea for the public safety, whether or not the township can find it in their budget, to purchase orange beanie caps and give them away when people go into the park and then they have to return them or whatever, or orange vests or something, so that our public is visible to the hunters. The next thing, and I'm gonna have to do it really quick, is the BEST project. I think we need to lay it to rest of saying, we don't want it, we don't want it. We're gonna get it, whether we want it or not. It's just whether or not we can do it under our terms instead of the state's terms. We need to make sure that the ordinances that we have are in place and that they are following the ordinances. They can still go to the state if they so choose. From what I saw at the last meeting with CIP here, they're willing to work with us. I don't want it either, but we're gonna get it. So we need to make the best of the situation and quit fighting amongst everybody. It wasn't this board that started it. It was our Scott Hess and Jody Staforia who started all of this mess several years ago. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hi, Tammy Keeler. That was a pretty good meeting. 4-0. Dina O'Connor has court 11:30 Monday morning for the lawsuit. Don't know how that's gonna go, but it's at 11:30 Monday morning at Gall Road to try to get our money back. As far as this battery plant goes, we don't want it, but like you said, it's coming. And why are they deciding? This is one thing that You know, I know y'all looked at, why are they, okay, it was only supposed to be one set, right? Okay, if you look at the plans now, there's one set here and one set there, and then they want another, what do you call those, transformers? They want you to put another transformer up there. Why all of a sudden, now they want another transformer up there to feed the other one? Why are they putting two instead of just one set? That's not making no sense. It's really not. Maybe you guys can look into that and find out why they're doing it this way. And we did find out that trail or whatever they got is not that far from that battery plant. So basically, maybe all they're gonna do is just push the deer right over there. So, and for the nominees for trustees, Emily Murphy, Korb, Kissinger, and Height. That's who we would like to see up there because they are trustworthy, hardworking people. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Congratulations, Amber.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Mary McDermott. I'm a 23-year resident of Comstock Township. I live on Verleen Street in Comstock. I wanted to comment on the Mista Homeowners Rehabilitation Partnership. As I was listening to the presentation on that, I really do appreciate it. I think it's a great idea for the community. However, I feel the $800,000 of liquid funds could be better handled by a relationship building and networking with local contractors to have them support the upfront cost of that. As somebody that is going to apply to be a trustee on the board, I think that it would be important for the trustees to reach out to maybe a local contractors. I did just recently work for a local contractor, have a very good relationship with them. I think partnering with a local contractor and having them support 100% of the upfront cost of this and getting it on the back end would keep those liquid funds available for Comstock Township to be used in a better manner. I think that we can put that back on the contractor and set and agree upon a profit margin with a specific contractor or maybe more than one contractor to see what they have to offer and minimize those upfront costs. So I think that could be better handled. I think the project is great. I think it would be great for the community. I think the $800,000 to beautify Comstock Township I would be completely in support of that, but I think that we could handle it better by keeping the funds liquid and putting that back on a contractor. I think that local contractors, if you create that partnership and you create that networking with them, would agree to do that. And I think there's opportunity there for that to happen and keep those funds more available for something else that we could use those for. And with that,
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, may I say congratulations to all of you. This is the first meeting that you have had so many agree with you. I was shocked. It was like, wow, this is cool. Congratulations, Amber. Congratulations, Sandy, on taking part of it away and giving it back to Amber. You guys, it's really nice to be able to sit here and ask for somebody saying, you said, keep it clean. We don't have any reason but to keep it clean. Now, we don't have somebody breathing down our throat and threatening us. So this is what the meetings are going to look like from now on. Congratulations, yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Robin Burpee from Park Township in St. Joseph County. I was born and raised in Parchment. I was a Parchment Panther. I married a Comstock Colt, and that's why I have the last name Burpee. They were a staple in Comstock, and recently my deceased husband was given some honor at the high school for being part of the championship team way back in the day. He graduated in 1979, I believe. I've been following this project here in Comstock for about 12 months now. sometimes from afar, because I don't live right next door anymore. And I've learned so much from the process. I learned so much from you. I am charmed by your tenacity. I'm charmed by your moxie. Always thinking that tomorrow would bring a fresh light. And it's here. You can feel it. And I'm so proud of you, and I'm so proud for Comstock, because now you have the opportunity to do everything in your power to give the people the voice. And that's the most important thing that's happened here today. I'm emotional because I see this need everywhere I go. I go to about 5 meetings across Southwest Michigan a week. I have people calling me, texting me, what do we do? How do we get rid of the corruption? How do we get rid of the lack of transparency in our communities? I see Attorney Thal's name on dockets all over and the people of his law firm. And this needs to be the new direction of Southwest Michigan, and of the United States of America. We need to have our voice back. So what's happened here today is very, very pivotal in that happening, because it's right in our backyard. On a personal note, I was involved with teaching Kyle Shoemaker from Shoemaker Technology Group how to fly an airplane. He's a very capable young man. I have spent some time with him working on learning about the ADA compliance, and he is passionate about what he does, and I have followed him for 20 years of him creating his business. You've made an excellent choice, and the platinum package was the best part of it. 5 stars. So on that note, I've got 13 seconds to say, go Comstock Colts, and I continue to watch you, this time with a smile on my face. Thank you.
Thank you.
Evening, long meeting, make it quick. My name is Dean Rockwell. I reside at 8178 Fawn Meadow Trail. I also would like to thank Clerk Lawrence for stepping up and volunteering in the community at such short notice. Really, I think reflects your character. As far as the dealings which you referenced with the partnership with KC3, despite all their capabilities, one of the strongest reasons as they do a notice, for public hearing and move forward, and you hear more about their coalition, the reason why I strongly would advocate to continue that partnership with them outside of the good that it can do with a grant that's not just a match, but even when there was some question on whether Lansing and Mista would select them, her team and Carly acknowledge that they would help Comstock even if not selected. And I really think that that goes a long way, in showing their willingness and how they didn't just look at the climate justice and just the metrics, but they're like, hey, you guys need help, and if it's not us, we'll still help you. So I would hope that as it goes forward, just from the inside, I was really impressed by her team's willingness to look at that and be like, we will help you regardless if we're not selected. Hopefully, this board will look at possibly changing the public comments format back to not agenda items only. In that, I think, again, for people with different disabilities, elderly, or just who have time constraints, waiting 3 hours to speak about issues that only pertain to them, I think that format change only benefited the few, and hopefully you would consider that. And then lastly, I think there's going to be a lot of great candidates and letters of interest that you get. I really do appreciate Mr. Korb, who, stepped in and filled that gap, for this community. But I will say, though, if all the social media posts, that are associated with him for his previous election or campaigns or whatever are his, I don't know him before tonight, I would hope that you would not appoint him and you would consider some of the other applicants here during this appointment and let him run an election then, because I find the language that he used, in the comments not to really be a good reflection for Comstock. Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Any further comments?
Hi, Diana Walker, East Main Street. I didn't really come here to speak tonight, didn't plan on it, but I just wanted to kind of put it out there. I know the community, probably almost everybody here, has wanted what they're seeing tonight and wants 3 more people up there with the same ideas and thoughts that the 4 of you have. I just hope that you look at anybody that puts in for one of the trustee positions. I think it's good to have people with different thoughts, different opinions. I think having open conversations, open dialect is important and very important to the community of Comstock. I think just having that conversation, having different opinions, and being able to work together. I know it's been very divided. That's very unfortunate. I worked on a board, was a member of a 7-member board. We, of course, had many different thoughts, opinions, backgrounds, but we were always able to come to a decision that all of us could respect and agree upon, and move to put the community forward and not... you all know, you look at the comments out there about Comstock, it's very upsetting. Comstock Township looks like it's horribly run. It's a mess. You've got the news media here, which is not a good thing. You'd rather have meetings without the news media because they're here to show the lack of respect or good meetings that are being had and way that the township moves forward. So I hope that you really truly will look at people with different thoughts and opinions maybe than what the 4 of you may have up there right now, just so there is open conversation and dialect when coming to a decision. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hi, Sean. I guess I want to comment on the last thing. I don't feel that the 4 of you are acting as a group that is not listening to anything else. I think the 4 that resigned didn't listen to the community. I think that's all that really matters. You can have all different opinions, but as long as you're listening to the community, that's what matters. And I feel we are blessed to have the 4 of you. Amber, it's great. That you listen to the community. I feel the other 4 were not listening to the community. They had their own agenda, and that was a little upsetting that people didn't get voted in, and the reason they did not get voted in is because they didn't listen to the community. So I don't have any feelings that you're not going to vote somebody in with a different opinion. Because I think you're doing the best for the community. So I'm not even concerned with that. The battery plant, yes, it's gonna come. I'm concerned though with why two separate plants. I'm concerned with why now do they need another substation. I'm concerned that nothing was said about the runoff going into Merrill Pond before. I'm concerned that he said all the shit would go up in the air, and it's not going to, because now we're talking about having to shelter in place. That wasn't anything that was discussed before, and you're talking elementary kids, middle school kids. They're gonna have to shelter in place without their parents. They're gonna be freaked out. The parents are going to be freaked out because they can't get to their kids. I don't think this was discussed. There's no evacuation plan. There's nothing for the community because now it's all based on the air direction. And the air direction and the wind direction was supposed to be going straight up in the air. As far as the fire department goes, I think we had enough money that was already budgeted for the sirens. I think that was used for the fire station, and I think the lady that withdrew her bid and resigned knew, 4 of them knew what the heck was going on. I don't even know if they should even have their salary. I think that should be revoked because they resigned. They left this community in almost because of the bonds. It's not fair. It's not right. And and now she's part of the fire department? Oh, how convenient for that. Let's resign and join the fire department. So no, I think there's corruption now in the fire department.
Yeah.
So I want to start off with saying I'm not speaking in any capacity other than William Knight, Comstock resident. Middle of 2025, this township started seeing some crazy stuff going on. And the township started speaking at the podium a lot about a moratorium ending and a battery storage system coming. And I heard the signs. I heard the community. So me, along with several residents in the community, decided to start a recall. It sucks that we had to do that. We ended up being successful, as everybody knows. We got 2 of them on the ballot, even though they didn't want to actually face the voters. But I just want to say, congratulations, Comstock. Give yourself a pat on the back, and welcome, Amber.
Yeah.
John Charlie. I want to play some devil's advocate here. Amber, I am happy that you're on this board. You've done great on the planning commission. A little bit of devil's advocate here with the supervisor pay going up. I am totally for that for Ben Martin and everything. My only concern is who gets elected in 2 or 3 years. I'm afraid of that. You're going to have someone that we elected, yes, but do we trust elections for one? You know, I'm just afraid that we elect someone else and they don't do their job. So how do we as a community fix that, I guess, or something with the superintendent? He was a hired position, can kind of tell what he can do. He was a bad person, in my opinion, didn't do his job at all and everything like that. It was horrible. But it just concerns me in 2 years, the supervisor position might be handed off to someone else. I hope not. You've done great and everything. It's just my concern that you're going to be giving us as a community $130,000 to someone where we voted, they could be a total flip of a coin. That just totally not good. I'm kind of concerned about that. Hopefully we can figure something out within the next 2 years, because I don't think you're going anywhere. You know, and I want to thank you guys for stepping up tonight and actually having a meeting that was not planned at all, because I don't think any of us really seen this coming, that they were going to resign. I thought they were going to stay on for a while until maybe 2 of them get voted off. It's kind of sad, in my opinion, that they didn't wait and face and everything like that, that they just resigned. In my opinion, it's just kind of coward, kind of like, you know, just put your head between your tails and just go. We did a bunch of stuff that the community didn't like. Now we're just going to run and just hide. In my opinion, it sucks. You know, I didn't agree with all of them. I tried to respect them every time that I spoke and everything. But at the end of the day, it's just kind of sad that they just up and left after a couple, in my opinion, big decisions that they just made, just kind of shushed under the rug because of the 4-3 vote. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Tell them about the chaos they got in Tesla.
Any further comments, please? If there are no further comments, we'll be moving along to members' comments. Trustee Amos?
I don't have anything, thank you.
Treasurer Bloomfield?
Yes, again, I just want to congratulate Amber. I look forward to working with you. We'll have a great relationship. I was told we can hear through the walls, so hey. I just want to also remind everybody that the wall that heals just came into Battle Creek, and it is there till Friday. And it is open 24 hours a day, and it is at Harper Creek. And to get there, take I-94, get off on exit 100, and go towards Binder Park Zoo, and you will go right by Harper Creek. So it's a free event, and it's a great thing to go see and educate your children on. So, and thank you all for coming and sticking around. We figured this was going to be a 3-hour meeting, knowing we had such a huge agenda. Thank you.
Clerk Lawrence?
Yeah, I just wanted to, for those of you that are unfamiliar with me, I just wanted to give you a little bit of my background. I thought it was appropriate. So I've worked on the planning commission. I've been doing that for about a year and a half. I spent 18 years in corporate leadership. The last 8 of those managing multi-unit retail with a P&L responsibility of $75 million, 420 people in my purview with 15 direct reports. My role covered communication strategies, full scope of human resources, hiring, firing, training, mentorship, you name it. I served on several cross-functional teams that drove total strategy across an organization. Since then, I've become a business owner. I've been working in our local real estate market. And outside of work, I serve on the Gull Lake Youth Football Association. That's the Rocket program, not the high school program that's in the news. I also coach, I'm coaching flag football and coached coach pitch. I'm a wife, I'm a mom to a 6-year-old little boy. I'm a hobby farmer. And I think that the one thread that ties everything together and that's been important to me is community. Finding a community, being a part of it. I moved around a lot as a kid. My dad's been in Kalamazoo since I was 9. My mom was in California. I was back and forth. And then in my corporate job, I've moved a lot. And so when we moved here, we put down roots. This is where we're living. I want to see my son go through school, you know, with the same group of kids all the way. And I started getting involved, and I just really love the sense of community and being a part of it and serving in it and knowing the community. And so I'm really excited for this opportunity. I really appreciate Ben Martin for inviting me to be a part of this. And I just want you to know I have an open door. I want to hear how we can make it better. And I promise you that I might not know all of the things right now, but I'm a good learner, and I will put in all of the time and effort that's required to make sure that this transition is as smooth as we can make it. So just want to thank everyone for the opportunity to sit up here.
Thank you, Clerk Lawrence. I would like to thank Bill Korb. That was great. He stepped up. He showed up to a meeting at 8:30 in the morning, and although you know, people didn't really understand the process. The coin flip thing was a little iffy for the community to think that that's how we went about picking it. But it is what it is, and that's how it happened. Nonetheless, he stepped up at 8:30 in the morning to go somewhere to serve his community, and he got here today, and he showed up at 6 o'clock. He answered my phone calls. He coordinated with us. So I'd like to thank Bill Korb. I'd like to thank Meredith Place and the Election Commission. I'd like to thank Attorney Thal as well. I would say one thing. I know you have free speech, and I respect that, but that is our township council. We work with him. We're trying to foster a good relationship, and so when residents come up and take jabs at the attorney, it's like, kind of blame your board. That would be just my opinion. Speak how you want, but throwing jabs at the township attorney, who we're trying to develop a relationship with, doesn't help us any. And I think that that's what this community has tended to do, is just throw jabs and kind of try to hurt one another. This politic part can be a little rough, but if we can serve our constituents and we can make our community happy and we can move forward together, I think at the end of the day, most of us are all living here. I think we would want to see the best things for our families, our businesses, and our future. So I would love to see that this board change that culture. I know envy is such a thing, jealousy is such a thing, resentment is such a thing, and so I just encourage anybody listening that is constantly throwing shade and spreading nasty, toxic venom. Like, at what point do we stop? What point do we start being optimistic and hopeful for the future and make the place that we live, like, proud to call home? So I think that hopefully this board can lead the way, and you know, I know you won't make everybody in the congregation happy, but Like, there's got to be some sort of flip of momentum to be like, oh, I'm sick of hearing your nasty spewing, like, no positive, no looking forward for anything attitude. Like, let's move the puck down the ice. This board's looking forward to conducting interviews and getting a board up here that's a powerhouse. Like, that's what I want to be part of. I think these other individuals up here too, I'm not offended if they don't vote for what I vote for. I'm going to come up, I'm going to do my homework. I'm responsible for myself up here at the board. I'm in support of them, but ultimately they're also responsible for their education, their learning, and their careers and their jobs. And if I did the same thing that the clerk did, well, we wouldn't get anything done for a township because it takes different boards, departments in order to function. So we're gonna stay in our lanes and we're gonna work together as a team, and we are gonna do a good due diligence process. I know that the residents feel like, you know, a little bit was taken from them because they did get an opportunity at the ballot box and that might have been taken away, but within reason of doing what we can. We can't wait too long to appoint the members, but we're gonna try to put a good faith effort towards that. So I look forward to that. I would like to thank Amber for stepping up. Like, my friend died because of people doing really nasty things. Like, terrible. I went to a funeral with 6 kids standing next to a casket with a grieving mother because people want to try to kneecap people for local politics, like your own neighbor in your own backyard, and that is awful, terrible. So instead of being spiteful and vindictful and wanting to be a prick, I kept my head down and kept moving forward past all that nasty toxicity. And so for Amber to step up in the middle of an arena like that, it's commendable. It's disgusting what people do. So like, being good to your neighbors is like such a thing. And so, like, man, to experience that, I don't know how old I am, might be 36 tomorrow, but 35 today. I never had a friend die like that. And like, that really gets you. That's just terrible. And then, you know, when you have a family, you tend not to make too many new friends because you're focused. So I had my college roommate killed himself in the spring. So I had a friend pass away in the fall and a friend pass away in the spring. And like, people are humans, and like treating people like that all the time, it's terrible. So I think this board can have an opportunity to like do something different, and it's so powerful. So thank you, Attorney Thal. I just would ask the residents, like, don't dog our attorney. He's here to guide us. If we don't like the job that he's doing, we'll make that decision as a board. But as of right now, thank you. I mean, he's been great help to me. I am the underdog that got elected to tip the canoe over a little bit to some degree, and it is what it is, and change happens, and that's been really hard for this community, for some. But I'm committed to doing the job, and I'm committed to moving forward, and we're gonna move forward like nobody's ever seen, so I'm looking forward to it. Thank you. If there's no further comments, this meeting is adjourned.